From Hank Greenberg Field, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting presents the third place game in the Ralph Shaw Tournament. It may not be for gold or for silver, but it still counts all the same. This afternoon it'll be the Ocean City Red Raiders versus the Audubon Green Wave. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by former Audubon Athletic Director Fred Swartz. He's joining us as a guest commentator this afternoon, as he has for several games this year. But Audubon coming into this game as a rare non-championship contender in this Ralph Shaw tournament. They lost yesterday to Paul VI, 13-10. Meanwhile, their opponent, Ocean City, fell 11-1 to Bishop Eustis.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Rich Oran, who was just so great to see him again. Once again, I spent 5 wonderful years here with him. He said they're real young, they're learning. He said there's a game that they would have liked to have played again, but today's a new day, and you take what you learned from the day before and put it in for today.
Exactly. This is going to be a great day of baseball nonetheless. Audubon coming in 2-2. Ocean City 2-4. They are in the midst of a 4-day, 4-game stretch. They played Bishop Eustis yesterday. They play Audubon today. They'll have Millville and Cape Atlantic American action back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. So the next time that the Red Raiders get to rest will be on Wednesday. But for now, they're going to be starting the right-hander in Josh Lenko, a multi-sport athlete for Ocean City who just won a state championship with the Red Raiders in boys basketball.
Boy, that's always good pedigree, because a winner is a winner no matter what the sport they're in. The most important thing when you play 4 games in 4 days is you have to have pitching staff. And you have to hope that that pitching staff can get you through the allotted number of innings, because when you go to the bullpen, especially with New Jersey with the pitch rules, you really run into trouble quickly.
Well, not only that, but looking ahead to the championship game, we saw Paul VI and Audubon yesterday. They had 5 pitchers that they threw. So Paul VI and Audubon are going to be a little bit out of gas today, but we'll see if Ocean City ends up being able to rebound. And for the Green Wave, they're starting Cade Schofield, a transfer from Highland Regional who's coming into his second season with Audubon. He's going to be making his second start today.
Well, that'll be interesting to see what happens. And again, Audubon's a baseball town. The thing I always loved when I was here, the community gets involved in it, and it's almost expected that Audubon is going to be good and they're going to play well, and that's what we'll see today, that's for sure.
Well, even though Audubon won't play in the championship game, we've got 2 great games on the way. It's Ocean City and Audubon, and then Paul VI and Bishop Eustis coming up right after the break. Welcome to Audubon High School here at Hank Greenberg Field. Starting pitcher for the Green Wave is Cade Schofield. Transfer from Highland, had 15 innings last year. This season, though, 3 innings pitched with a 4.67 ERA and a 2.33 whip. He starts today after being the shortstop for the Green Wave yesterday. For the Ocean City Red Raiders, led by Andrew Bristol, it'll be Brady Williams, the true freshman, leading off, followed by Josh Pashley at third base. Cameron Street, the NJIT commit, is in center field. Wes Andrews is the shortstop. Kyle Williams at first. Josh Lenko is the starting pitcher. Preston Bahang in left field. And the first pitch of the ball game is away, 1-0. And then for the 8 and 9 spot, Colin Wellen is the right fielder, and Cody Schwein is the designated hitter in the 9 spot.
Well, Dan, I said the other day back when the first batter is so important in a game, and if Audubon can get them out, they'll have a little advantage to start off, and if Ocean City can get a base runner, then anything can happen.
Absolutely. Correction on Schofield, he had 5 1/3 innings last year, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, and 4 Ks. Williams laces it to center field. Pilla going back. He will make the catch. It's out number 1 here in the third place game.
And it's good to see Audubon in their gold uniforms with the green pinstripes. Brings back a lot of memories.
Back in, well, they debuted at least this version of the uniform back in 2023 when I was a junior in high school. But before then, they had the white pants and the green tops, which I would like to see Audubon go back at least one point to a standard white home jersey. I might be a little bit too much of a traditionalist, but I do really enjoy watching a team with a white home jersey instead of color on color. But, listen, baseball tastes change and evolve as we've got a strike called. It's 1-1.
Yeah, back in the old days, they would have called these like softball uniforms.
More or less, yeah. Batter is Josh Pashley, the left fielder, or pardon, the third baseman. That's what threw me off. He's wearing number 7, but he is in the 5 slot at third base. For Pashley, the senior infielder, .333 average, just 1 for 3, had 2 at-bats in yesterday's loss to Bishop Eustace. The 1-2 is a strike, 3 call, an outside corner. Schofield working quickly, and that's 2 down as a fly ball to center and a strikeout looking is going to bring up Cameron Street, the center fielder for Ocean City. And
very, very good start for Audubon as far as defensive. A good play by the center fielder on that well-hit ball, and now a strike 3 looking. If you can get through that first inning and not give up any runs and then get the chance to bat, you're in really, really good shape.
And the interesting thing about the third place game is that you see these teams doing their best effort to bounce back, as opposed to the championship game where both teams are trying to carry existing momentum into the championship game. Ocean City and Audubon both lost yesterday, but they both have very different avenues of losing. Ocean City lost in 5 innings, 11-1. Bishop Eustace gave them an 8-run inning, and really that was it. But for Audubon, they fought really hard yesterday through a 3-hour game that saw 4 lead changes and a crooked 4th inning that took 45 minutes.
Wow.
So yesterday's events were really night and day. So we're seeing a Group 3 team in Ocean City versus a Group 1 in Audubon. This is still another opportunity to win, and these players are treating it seriously. There's a ground ball by Street, third base, picked up down the corner. Throw is not going to be in time, and Cameron Street with the infield single. Good piece of hitting down the line there for Street. He's committed to NJIT, the Highlanders, and the .278 hitter this year picks up his 6th of his senior campaign.
Right, and you could see he had really good speed getting down the base path. Third baseman on that one is going to have to charge because it's about the only way you're going to be able to throw him out on a high chopper like that.
So Schofield dealing with his first base runner of the game. He'll throw to first, not in time.
Well, Dan, I'm coming off 2 games where the one game was 29-11 and the other game was 24-3. So hopefully we have a pitcher's duel today.
First pitch to Andrews, throw down is not in time.
That was a good throw, though. That was a very good throw. He had a great jump. He really stole on the pitcher on that time. It almost like a running start that he got going. And I thought Audubon's catcher made a nice, real strong throw to second base.
Yeah, that's not the first time we saw that from Ben Lougheed. He had a caught stealing yesterday where he beat the runner by a step or two. And he's starting in this game in place of Theo Caladro, second day in a row that he is starting for him. Caladros is in the lineup except as the designated hitter, but those two have basically, I don't know if you want to call it platooning, but they've been kind of back and forth behind the plate this year.
And
outside.
I was lucky I got see his sister Maeve play softball for Audubon for 3 years, and she was another competitor, that's for sure.
And another Rowan product, so
Yeah.
another connection for you.
Yes, it was.
2-0. Outside, 3 balls, no strikes to Wes Andrews. Made some nice plays at shortstop yesterday, lining up in the cleanup spot today. Hitting 118, he's going to try to get those numbers up. He's 2 for 17. He has scored 4 runs. He did have an RBI, the only RBI in yesterday's game versus Bishop Eustace. That came in the 4th inning. It was 5-0, and then, it was 3-0, and then Ocean City got a run back on a ground ball in the infield. That was all they were able to get. They left the bases loaded in that inning. And then Ocean City gave up 8 runs in the 4th, including a 2-run shot by Mason Rosenberg that cleared our heads. And Eustis will play Paul VI in the championship game. That game is scheduled for 3 p.m. this afternoon. Big swing and a miss by the left-hander, Kyle Williams, and it's 0-1.
So interesting situation now. You have runners on first and second. So the walk really doesn't hurt that much because you have a force at each base that you could go through. But also a single in the outfield could score 2.
Especially with some of the speed that you have. You've got Street on second base. I think even with a bloop single, he'll come around to score with what he's got. But Kyle Williams, 250 batter, 2 career home runs, 1 last year, 1 this year. Had 1 in the 11-1 road win versus Triton back on March the 31st. And a line drive by Kyle Williams into right field, diving at second base. Brogley can't get it, and Bozarth boots it. Street comes around to score. It'll be an RBI single for Kyle Williams, and the Red Raiders lead it 1-0.
Right, nice piece of hitting. Just went with the pitch, came right into the second base, first baseman gap, and luckily the bobble didn't matter at that time, but it's 1-0 Ocean City.
Again, just a really good piece of hitting. Even with the bobble, that doesn't go down in the scorecard because nobody directly advanced because of it. Street was going to come around to score anyway. But that's what these coaches like, especially in modern-day baseball, is a left-handed hitter who can pull the ball. And even if it's not in the air, you pull it on the ground, you get it in that gap between first and second. Not Brogley, it's Jed Owens over at second base today, and then Evan Paxos, the sophomore, at first. We've got an 0-1 count to the pitcher, Josh Lenko, hitting in the 6th spot. Lenko scored 475 points for Ocean City boys basketball, who won their first ever state title in the 2026 season. They beat Colonia to win their first title. Not too many teams won titles for South Jersey this past season in boys basketball, but Ocean City was certainly probably the most popular of the bunch.
And that might have been the only one, Dan, right? They might have been...
Group 1, I'm trying to think. Boys basketball was so long ago. But
yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd have to look back at it, but now we're transitioning into the spring and enjoying the games that we have. A 3rd strike, throw down to first. Lougheed gets Paxos, and the inning is over. So the pitcher Lenko will go from first base to the mound as Ocean City gets a run home on a Kyle Williams RBI single. Audubon comes to bat for the first time in the Ralph Shaw consolation game right after the break. Welcome back. Your pitcher for the Red Raiders of Ocean City. We talked about the two-sport athlete. It's Josh Lenko. 10 innings this year for him so far. He's got 7 walks, 16 Ks, and a 0.68 ERA and a sub-1 whip of 0.93. He really brought his numbers down. He had a 5.1 ERA in his freshman year and an ERA up over 6 as a sophomore. And in neither of those years did he throw more than 13 innings. So he is definitely making a strong sample size for the Red Raiders. The lineup for the Audubon Green Wave: Cade Schofield is your pitcher leading off. You've got Colin Filippi in left field in the 2 slot. In the 3 position is Chase Bozarth in right field. And batting cleanup will be Jude Cotter, the multi-sport athlete, also in football, at third base. Ben Loheat, the sophomore catcher, bats 5th. You've got Theo Caladros, the designated hitter. Matt Brogley is the shortstop. Evan Paxos at first, and Aaron Pilla, as he was yesterday, in center field. The 1-0 to Schofield is low.
And Dan, as we said before, I think it's imperative that Audubon put something together here in the bottom of the first. They gave up 3 and 4 runs in the 6th and 7th inning yesterday, and then they've given up a run to start this game. I think they need to get some confidence and score runs.
Yesterday was just such a topsy-turvy game. It actually broke the record for the longest 7-inning game on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. I tracked that, track time of game. The longest before that was Sayreville-Matawan from last year from Trenton Thunder. That game was 3 hours, 4 minutes, and this one was 3 hours and 5 minutes with a whole lot of pitching changes and a grand total of 12 walks allowed by the PVI pitching staff as the throw to first is in time. Nice 4-3 play there, started by Brady Williams, and a good stretch over at first by his brother, Kyle Williams, to make the play.
Gee, they probably did that in the backyards a few times. That's for sure.
If I had to guess.
Yeah.
Brady Williams, the true freshman, as we said, picked up a hit in yesterday's loss to Ocean City. To Bishop Eustace. Batter will be Colin Filippi. Not playing baseball in college, but will be headed to Villanova, which is no small feat for what it's worth. His mom came up to me yesterday and told me about it, and I said, listen, it's still important. You know, even though he's not going for baseball, Villanova is not a school that anybody can get into. It's
That's for sure.
Certainly academically prestigious. That's the 1-0. Strike called to Filippi. An interesting stat that Gavin Van Rel pointed out to us yesterday is that Filippi, who walked 4 times in 5 plate appearances, he struck out once and walked 4 times. He saw 18 pitches. He swung the bat once, and that was a foul ball. So he did not put the ball in play, but because he knew that Paul VI didn't have their best location, he walked 4 times and came around to score 3 times. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Filippi. From Lenko, swing and a miss. It hit the dirt. He'll have to throw down to first, and he got him there. 2 away. So a grounder and a strikeout for Lenko. 2 easy outs to start the first, and the batter will now be, it'll be Chase Bozarth, the right fielder. Bozarth had 4 innings in relief yesterday. Check that, he had 4 2/3, because he was, let me get that right a third time, 3 2/3, because he did not finish the 7th inning. That was when that wild comeback happened for Paul VI. Gabe Rogers had the 3-run single, give them a 13-10 lead, and Matt Brogley came on and finished a third. So Evan Paxos had 3, Chase Bozarth had 3 2/3, and then Matt Brogley had 1/3 of an inning. If I recall, Brogley is eligible to pitch today because he threw less than 20 pitches in his relief outing yesterday. And that would be a big help for Audubon, somebody who can be a good innings eater as an underclassman. As a strike is called, it's 1-2.
And I'm very impressed so far with Ocean City's pitcher. He can throw a variety of pitches. Colleges want you to be able to master 3 pitches, and 1 has to be a change of speed. And Lenko's shown he can do that.
Well, it's a pitcher versus pitcher battle as Bozarth, the Division III commit, strikes out looking. Inning over for Ocean City, but they do grab a run in the top half. They'll try to expand on it in inning number 2 here on a beautiful, nothing but blue sky, sunny Sunday. We'll be back in just a moment. In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties.
With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Welcome back. You can see that white A posted on the pitcher's mound, painted by pitching coach, or at least former pitching coach, if he's not just back for the weekend. I'm not sure if he's back permanently or back for the weekend. Wade Geis, as Ocean City will bat 7, 8, and 9 after the pitcher struck out. It'll be Preston Pahang, the left fielder. Takes a swing and a miss. It'll be Pahang, Cullen Wellen, and Cody Schweim, the designated hitter. 7, 8, and 9 for the Red Raiders.
You know, Dan, I was AD here from '98 to 2003, and it's nice to see that nothing really changes in Audubon there. The left field crew who was there when I was there looked like they're out there again in the foul territory area, and it's just a baseball town, and Richie Horan is the best.
People ask me, as an Audubon grad myself, they ask me, they say, what makes Audubon so successful year over year? Because every year when I was in high school, they would say, oh, Audubon, this is going to be the year that they take a step back. This is going to be the year that they, don't have a good year. But it all comes down, in my opinion, to development. And I think that the culture that Rich Horan builds at Audubon, the no-nonsense, disciplined culture where you play for the name on the front of your jersey and you don't play for the name on your back, I think that helps a lot. But I would also say that the Little League across the street from here, they do a good job in preparing players and getting them excited about baseball.
Yeah,
So
Rich always told me that's exactly right. He said that the key to success in Audubon is the underneath programs. And they develop a mentality to play baseball, to play the way Rich Horan wants them to play. And so when they come up here, it's just an accomplishment that they've gone through the program.
Now, you were talking about being athletic director from '98 to '03. That obviously means that you were there during the prime years of Joe Flacco. Can you describe what he was like in high school?
Well, Joe,
good kid, academic kid?
Yeah, he was. He was fine. And it's just we didn't have enough football players that he could win. He could throw the ball 80 yards, so that situation. But he was a multi-sport athlete. He was the only Audubon player I ever saw dunk a basketball. And he played outfield for us. Matter of fact, one year that we went to the semifinals, he hit a home run against Buena to win the game. So you knew he was good. An athlete is an athlete no matter what the sport is.
Absolutely.
And that is the key to him. But it sure worked out well for football, that's for sure.
And I think for him as well, he started out, if I'm correct, he started out at Pitt and then went to Delaware, unless it was vice versa.
Yeah, we were involved in the recruiting for that. He wanted to go to a school that ran a pro offense. So we had every school come, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, all the Big Ten schools. He wanted to go to a school where they were going to throw the football. And unfortunately, what happened when he went there, the offensive coordinator at Pitt brought his son in, too, who was also a quarterback. Joe saw the handwriting on the walls, transferred out after Dave Wannstedt wouldn't release him, and went to Delaware and had a great career at Delaware.
See, that's the one thing that I think people get a little bit too up in arms about the transfer portal and everything in Division I athletics, is that just even today, we see situations where people leave because of coaching changes and like that, but it's not like that's anything new. People still left back in the day because of coaching changes. Is it Are the numbers is the volume of people that are transferring out now overinflated? Absolutely. There's far too many
Absolutely.
people. But I would say that it's not a new thing for a player to want out or to go to a different school because it's best for their career. Joe Flacco might not have been an NFL draft pick if he stayed at Pitt and it didn't have what he desired.
And that's 100% correct. And he went to a school where he could come right in and become the starting quarterback. If he had to sit out a year, because back then you couldn't be immediately eligible from D1 to D1. You had to sit a year. So he lost a year of eligibility. But then they built their offense around him, went all the way to the national championship game, and he got to showcase his skills.
Oh, that ball gets away down the right field line. That ball is going to hit the fence. They're going to keep the ball in play. There's a green light from the third base coach, but they're going to hold him up. I guess that they're saying, I mean, it did land between those traffic cones. For those not aware, there's some traffic cones out in right center field, or out in right field, where Bozarth is running now. That determines the out of boundary for what is discussed in ground rules. So the ball can actually hit the fence, and as long as it doesn't go through the fence, it is in play. So that was 2 bases on a throwing error against Audubon's pitcher in Schofield, and it puts the runner Cullen Wellen on third base here with 1 away.
And Audubon's going to go infield up here because they realize they don't want to get too far behind. And we almost saw a little safety
comes the runner
squeeze.
home.
Yeah.
But he will retreat. He'll go back to third for Schweim. He's got an 0-1 count. But going back to what you were saying about Joe Flacco, I think that's one thing that people also, when they're on the outside looking in, you know, people are like, well, why wouldn't you go to this school? Why wouldn't you go to this school? They're so much better. Well, yeah, the offense that you run does matter. It doesn't make sense for a passing-heavy quarterback like Joe Flacco, who can, you know, be a gunslinger, can throw the ball 300, 400 yards a game. It doesn't make sense for him to go to an offense that runs wing T or runs a hybrid offense where you're not getting as many passes.
And that was actually right to the point of what he looked at, because he could have chosen from any school in the United States. They were all coming in. They were all in. It's kind of an interesting network. Clyde Folsom, who was the coach of West Deptford, told me on this. Sometimes when the college coach comes in and you have a stud, he'll also ask you, he said, is there anybody in the area that we should look at? And the scouts would come in and said, every coach said, go to Audubon and see Joe Flacco. So it shows you how good he was.
Well, not to interrupt, but yes to interrupt, the home plate umpire and the base umpire just had a discussion with Rich Horan. I'm not sure what the discussion was about. I would imagine it was on that previous pitch. But they're keeping the runner at third. The runner broke for home, and now Ocean City's Andrew Bristol is out talking to him. So there's some kind of discrepancy on some rule, but it doesn't look like anything's going to change. It's going to be 2-1. The runner's going to hold at third in Cullen Whalen. A swing and a miss makes it 2-2 for Schweim, the designated hitter. But yeah, listen, football recruiting is something that everybody strives for. Everybody wants to be recruited to the best school and to be somebody who is involved in that moniker. But Fred, talking with Joe, he definitely seemed like a smart kid in high school, being able to play 3 sports and also, you know, be an academic kid and go to a school, obviously athletically, but also academically. Delaware's no small feat either.
No, that's true. And now Dad was a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School.
Wharton School of Finance.
Yeah, that's and the thing that really helped with Joe is his father was able to control, and not really control, but to oversee Joe's finances, because so many people, when they become pros like that, there's a great punch out right there. It's exactly what the Audubon pitcher needed. Swing
and a miss by Schweim. We go back to the top of the order for Brady Williams. That's strikeout number 4 for Cade Schofield. But going back to your point, that is absolutely the right point. How many stories have we seen? Countless stories of professional athletes wasting their money, blowing their money, getting this huge contract, and then not knowing what to do with it. And if you can also manage your money great and then have a financial agent or a general agent who screws it up for you, messes it up for you.
Yeah, that's for sure. And probably the classic example of that is Allen Iverson.
Oh, yeah.
Who just trusted all his friends, and his friends spent all his money.
Remember, the professional athletes that have to do weekly public appearances to make ends meet are the ones that do not manage their money well.
That's for sure.
I see that all the time with Major League Baseball pitchers. I used to collect autographs when I was younger, and I would go to the Wildwood Convention Center to go to the Major League Baseball, or I'm sorry, it was the Sports Card Expo that was down there, and they'd have all kinds of different professional athletes, and half the time you could very much tell that the athletes were not there because they were loving the experience. They were there because they needed the money. Here's a ground ball to short. Owens to first is in time. Yes, Jed Owens to first. That is in time, and the inning is over. Ocean City keeps the runner on third after a one-out walk to Whalen. It'll be 2, 3, and 4 for the Red Raiders in the top of the third, but instead, Green Wave looking to get on the board. Welcome back. Bottom of the second inning. It's 4, 5, and 6 for the Green Wave after Ocean City left a runner on third base. Here in the third place game of the Ralph Shaw Tournament, Jude Cotter leads us off. It'll be Ben Lougheed, the catcher, and Theo Caladros. Cotter and Lougheed, both sophomores for the Green Wave, as he'll tap this one out towards third base. It's a fair ball. Picked up, stutter throw, and he's safe. He stopped at first, and he didn't run through the bag. That was the closest of close calls, and if he was out, I don't think that Rich Horan would have been, I don't even know what I can say on the air about what he would have told him, but
yeah,
he would not have been, even though he's safe, he's not a happy camper about
yeah,
it.
and you can see the first base coach is talking to him right now. That is like breaking the cardinal rule.
Oh, yeah.
You run through that bag no matter what.
I wonder if he thought that ball was foul and there was a miscommunication, but even then, if you think it's foul, you still got to run through it
You're
until you
right.
hear something.
Yes.
So I think that'll be some extra workout reps for him after the game, but batter will be, Ben Lougheed, the sophomore, batting .286, 2 for 7. Had an RBI single in yesterday's game as he punts this one foul. His other hit came in the 5-1 win for Audubon over West Deptford. So pivoting from Joe Flacco, Fred, we were talking about during the break the Schill brothers, especially Vaughn Schill, who in the late or early to mid-90s signed with the Seattle Mariners and also played at Duke.
Yeah, he was. I never got to see him play. Rich used to tell me stories of what he could do. I got to see Nate play for 4 years, and Nate was probably the most pure hitter I've ever seen at any level. And he ended up going down to James Madison University, but he was the Gatorade New Jersey Player of the Year in 2002. So he was just a phenomenal player. He could pitch, he could play short, he could play for in the championship. When we won the state championship in 2004, he played first base. So he was just an outstanding athlete.
Yeah, and that's one thing that really shines at a Group 1 school is whether or not you can play multiple positions. I mean, just looking at this Audubon lineup, because they're playing 2 games in 2 days, the personnel in the lineup are the exact same, the same starting 9 as it was yesterday. However, you have some positional changes. You have Evan Paxos, who started the game on the mound. He's starting at first base today. Matt Brogley was the second baseman yesterday. He's the shortstop today. Jude Cotter was, I believe, the left fielder, or no, he was No, he might have been at third base yesterday, but either way, Cade Schofield was the shortstop yesterday. He's starting on the mound. You have to be versatile as a Group 1 school. In Group 4s and Group 3s, there's a reason why I cover pretty much all groups in South Jersey, because it is so interesting. It's fascinating to see how different rosters are constructed depending on the resources that you have. I've seen Group 4s construct their roster like a Group 1 because they don't have the space. They might only have 15, 16 guys, maybe, I don't want to say bad, but a lower level Group 4, maybe a Group 4 that isn't as athletically focused, or maybe has a little bit of different priorities. They may not have the same resources to field a hefty baseball team. So yeah, you don't really have room to be a specialist in an environment where you have to be a team player. This ball's going to get to the backstop, and Connor's going to get to second base.
And that's really true. I mean, you have to be versatile, and that when college scouts are coming around and looking at different athletes, versatility is probably at the top, because there's a good chance that a kid that's playing second base in high school won't play second base in college. They're going to be playing another position. They could even be an outfielder. And you're looking for your athletes, and you're looking for skills.
Let me give you an Audubon example. Tyler Wiltsey from last year. That's ball 4 to Ben Lohe. I'll give you an example in Tyler Wiltsey. He was a star athlete all 4 years at Audubon, reached 100 hits in his junior year, and his 100th hit was a walk-off home run in a playoff game versus Camden Charter. It was a mercy rule win, but still, I mean, it's a game winner nonetheless. We do have a pinch runner at first, or a courtesy runner for the catcher. That'll be Drew Pachowski. What I was saying, though, was that most of his tenure at Audubon, he had 4 years here, was a starter all 4 years. He was a shortstop his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. I, in my limited conversations with him, had assumed that he was going to be recruited as a shortstop. But no, in his summer ball and in his travel ball, he was recruited as an outfielder, specifically as a center fielder. He's got a lot of agility. He's got a lot of quick speed as a defender. But I was saying this yesterday, it is a lot easier to train somebody to play center field than it is for somebody to be an elite defensive shortstop like Tyler Wiltsey is.
That's
almost every game,
right.
He'd have a diving stop or a leaping catch. Yeah, center fielders are good, but shortstops, they come a dime. They don't really have a lot of there's not really as many people that can do that position well. That ball hit off the net, so no catch by the catcher. But
and that can be conversely, there could be a kid that's a good pitcher in high school,
right,
that will never pitch in college. But he's such a good athlete, he can play any position on the field.
Exactly.
He could be the short.
It opens that door.
Yeah, it just opens it up, and I think versatility is one of the keys.
So when Cade Schofield came to Audubon as a sophomore last season, he transferred over from Highland after playing his freshman year there. And another bunt misses outside. It's going to be 2-1. When he came over, and we'll have a quick pitching change for, a mound visit for Ocean City. When he came over, that kind of lifted a burden for Rich Horan and for Audubon, and Wiltsey played center field for most of his senior year. Now, he was still good in center field, but Schofield was also good at shortstop, so it made both worlds become better in a way, in the sense that Wiltsey was able to play his true position without Audubon having to sacrifice the team goal of having somebody that elite at that position.
And that's very good. That's well placed. It's funny, all the years I was here, when the 2001 state championship team was the most complete team I've ever seen. And they basically didn't move a lot. They had, first baseman was Nate Schill. Ryan Gilmore played second. Brian Jacobowski was a shortstop. Tyler Inkster played third. Brandon Boyd played left. Ryan Flynn played center.
Here's a bunt put in play. Throw to first. That'll be a nice sacrifice off the bat of Theo Caladros. Had one of those yesterday. He'll pick up another one to put 2 runners in scoring position. Pachowski to second. Lougheed to third. Cotter to third. There'll be 2 runners in scoring position for out number 1 as Caladros picks up a 5-3 sacrifice. Not only that, a tough play by the Ocean City third baseman.
And one thing I can remember, that the first round game we played Delran. Rich Bender was the coach, who was a legend at Delran.
One of 5 coaches to have 600 wins in South Jersey. Horan is one of them.
And, matter of fact, that's what he told me before the game. I said, how many wins you got now, Coach? And he says, I don't know, I stopped counting after 600. But Mike Kelly was playing right field at the time, dropped the ball. We went behind, and we won on a Tyler Inkster home run. And I remember talking to Ryan Flynn after the game, and I said, Boy, that was nervous. He said, if we'd have lost that game, I'd have never spoken to Mike Kelly again in his life. So it was intense, let me tell you.
It's like your Steve Bartman moment. It's a moment that could haunt you forever.
Yeah.
But Audubon, their most recent state titles, went back-to-back 2011 and 2012, tied for the most state championships of any public school in New Jersey. Gloucester Catholic has the most of any school, but you do kind of count parochial titles and public titles differently because of the recruiting factor. As there's a line drive, that's going to skip past into left field. That'll be a base hit, and it goes right under the glove of the left fielder, Pahang. This is going to stop in the grass. 1 run scores. Brogley's going to go to third. This is going to be a 3-base error or hit for Matt Brogley. We'll have to see what we'll score it as. I would have to imagine an error is going to come on the left fielder, Preston Pahang, but 2 runs come in to score, and Audubon takes a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, we'll give that as a single on a 2-base error in that kind of a situation. And perfect situation of how Rich Horan coaches baseball. Advance the runner. So he got the bunt down, put runners on second and third. Base hit would have scored 2 runs anyway, and now they got an opportunity for more.
It's going to bring up Evan Paxos, yesterday's starter, who struck out 5 batters across 3 innings of work. But, yeah, absolutely. That was deja vu on the opposite side of the coin of yesterday's game, because that play was pound for pound exactly how Gabe Rogers gave Paul VI the lead versus Audubon yesterday. He sent one to left field. There were, I believe the bases were loaded. I'm sorry. So, except for 2 runners scoring, 3 runners scored, and instead of the runner going to third, he stopped at second. But it was still a single and an error that went right past the left fielder. So, that's exactly how that play went down. If you don't even need a replay of how PVI won the game yesterday, that is exactly how it happened. And that's going to be 2 away. Strikeout to the number 8 batter, Paxos, and we'll send the bottom of the order up in Aaron Pilla.
And good reaction there by Ocean City's pitcher after that disappointment of, first of all, the hit, and then for the ball to get past left field. The strikeout really will set the tone again. If he can limit the damage to 2 runs, it'll be a much better situation.
Cotter and Pachowski scored on the first pitch that Pilla sees. He'll ground it to Williams. Throw 2. Kyle Williams is in time, and the inning is over. Audubon gets 2 runs on a single E7 that scores 2 off the bat of Matt Brogley. We're through 2 in the 3rd place game of the Ralph Shaw Tournament here in Audubon.
Mental Health Awareness Month. It is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that our friends, family, and anybody who we hold dear in our lives is feeling well.
The problem with spotting mental health issues is that the symptoms aren't that obvious. Just because someone is okay or appears okay on the outside doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside.
It's important that if they are in distress, that they call the right people and they get the help that they need.
And it is very important that we treat each other with respect, regardless of who you are or where you come from. But it is just as important that we treat ourselves with respect, regardless of the situation going on in our lives.
If you're in distress, you can call this number, 988, or you can visit any of these websites if you're not in distress, but would like to learn more information about mental health awareness and research.
Welcome back to Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School as the first pitch misses inside. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper Driving School pass on their first attempt. Book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman at 614 Lambs Road, just minutes from Route 55. That one's up and in as Ocean City starts off the top of the third inning with their 1, 2, and 3. 2, 3, and 4. Josh Pashley, Cameron Street, and Wes Andrews. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And I think Ocean City's just looking now to get base runners. They're going to have their best hitter, Cam Street, coming up second. So if they can get this runner on, and it is a foul ball.
It's down the left field line, foul. Ocean City in the midst of a 4-game stretch. We mentioned it before the broadcast that you have to have a lot of pitching to compete in the 4-game stretch. 2 of the pitchers that Ocean City brought out yesterday had not pitched in a varsity game before. One of them being Mike DeFeo, who kind of held down the fort before Bishop Eustace blew the game open with an 8-run 4th inning and led to the 5-inning mercy rule. Schofield's 2-2, ground ball foul. Pardon, 3-2.
Dan, I know they have a pitch count rule here. Who keeps the pitch count?
Believe it's the home dugout. I don't think that the home plate umpire keeps it. I believe that, if I'm correct, I think both dugouts keep their own, and if there's discrepancies, then they will meet and they will make sure that they're on the same page.
Okay, that
That's
makes sense.
what I have been understood. I'll be honest, I've actually not seen many, if any, games in my 4 or 5 years of broadcasting where pitch count has been an issue.
Okay.
Now, the pitch count is kept on the scoreboard here at Audubon, which that was installed. That new scoreboard was installed a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's a little bit faint in the sun. It's really visible on a cloudy day, but the William Penn Bank scoreboard, it was, I think, built the second year that I was here, which was 2023. So that was in addition to the other field renovations that they had. Street takes that one low.
Well, I think that's a great idea, so now everybody can get an idea of exactly where it stands.
Yeah, because I don't really keep pitch count because I've got to do a million other things to keep the broadcast running. There's a few other places that I know that do keep pitch count. Bordentown is one of them, but this, I know, is one of the few ballparks where not only is pitch count displayed, you can also trust that it will be accurate.
Oh, for sure.
Because it is updated as soon as the pitch is thrown. It's 1-1 to Street. As we said, he's committed as a right-handed pitcher to NJIT. And speaking of pitching, like we said, Ocean City used 3 of them yesterday, but they only used 1 pitcher that had valuable varsity time in Frank Steelman, the right-hander. He had 10 innings going into this game as Street takes a high pitch. It goes off the leg of Brogley and into center field. Pilla tried to barehand it and bobbles all around as that ball might have hit the lip of the grass in the infield. It was a deep shot hit to Brogley, and Street will get on. That's a tough play nonetheless, and the runner advances to third. So Schofield, just like 295 at 9 a.m., dealing with some hefty traffic here for Ocean City.
Yeah, that's for sure, and that's one that gives the official score nightmares because
I don't even know how I would score that.
Yeah.
I would lean base hit for the sense that it was a line drive and it looked like Brogley was positioned properly and it was just a bad bounce. Runner goes. He is safe, cut off by Brogley to avoid the first and third double steal.
And when I'm doing my games, whether it's the rowing games or whatever that comes through, my concept of always, is it a routine play? If it's a routine play and they boot it, then it's an error. If they've had to dive or whatever. And then the biggest issue is bad hops.
Exactly.
Sometimes bad hops can make that big change.
That's why whether you're on this broadcast or not, I always like to explain why I made the scoring decision as I do. Because I preface by saying that I'm not an official scorer in any capacity. And if there is a, let's say like a no-hit bid on the line, I'll always confer with the home dugout to make sure I have the right numbers and everything. But if it's between a hit and an error, I actually explain to the viewer why I made that decision. Because I see all the time, I'll score a game where the home team will have like 5 errors, and then they'll have, or maybe the road team will have 5 errors, and the home team will have 5 hits. But then I'll go home at night, and the road team will only have 2 errors, and the home team will have 8 hits.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I know it does. And listen, there's only so much that I can do to police against that. I can't tell people that you're doing it wrong, but I at least, when as a service of broadcasting, I explain why I score it the way I do. That's a line drive in the left field. Ocean City's going to take the lead. Filippi takes the hop at the chest. Street's going to come around. The throw comes in late. That'll be a 2-run single for Wes Andrews, and it's 3 straight hits for the Red Raiders, and they lead this one 3-2. So Audubon took the lead, and OC gets it right back.
Yeah, nice character shown for them. But here's one for you that'll be interesting we had yesterday, which was a pitch with 2 outs with a runner on third that was a pass ball. Okay, run comes in, scores. The question is it an earned run on a pass ball? So we had no idea. We looked it up, and it said it's an unearned run because it's a mistake by the catcher.
That's what I would think.
Yeah,
I would think
exactly
that it would be
right.
an unearned run because if it was a wild pitch, it's a mistake of the pitcher. But
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
a mistake of the catcher, it is a passed ball, and that would be an unearned run. We've got a pitching change for Audubon. Kate Schofield is out. We've got a southpaw coming into the game, number 14, Drew Pachowski. We'll take a quick break. Audubon bringing in a southpaw here in the top of the 3rd inning of the consolation game of the Ralph Shaw Tournament. Even though Audubon will compete for gold, at best, they'll compete for bronze. They trail by 1. Drew Pachowski, new pitcher for Audubon. Southpaw coming into the game. This is his first varsity appearance. He doesn't even have an at-bat. He has 1 stolen base, and a correction that his brother Matt Pachowski was the one who pinch ran, or courtesy ran, in the bottom of the 2nd inning and came around to score. So the Pachowski brothers, both sophomores. And the first pitch is inside to Kyle Williams. Lefty-lefty matchup. It'll be 5 and 6. With still nobody out, 3 base runners reached for Ocean City. They've brought home 2 runs here in the top of the 3rd.
And I think it's the thing for Audubon right now is to minimize the damage. Yes, you're down 3-2. If you can keep it at that, again, you come up to bat in the bottom of the inning.
1-0, throw back to first, not in time. Ocean City got a run home in the top of the 1st inning on an RBI single by Kyle Williams. Audubon got 2 back in the bottom of the 2nd. And Ocean City has stormed right back with 2 more runs of their own. Pachowski, the 1-0. Fastball upstairs, 2 balls, no strikes. So let me ask you this, because this is a much more mellow game and a tune-up for the championship game between Eustis and Paul VI. Do you have a favorite Ralph Shaw memory or story from your 5 or 6 years as an Audubon athletic director?
Well, I think the best thing is when
This ball's hit well, right center field. This is going to stay in the ballpark. Pilla's there. It's actually pretty shallow in center field, just the angle. They like to say when a freight train is coming right towards you, it doesn't look like it's moving as quickly as it is. I thought that fly ball was
top of you.
I thought that fly ball was headed right for me for a sec, but
I think the one that I remember the most, and I know you introduced the batter, but was when we used to go down to the Hawaiian Tropic tournament down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was a great tournament. It really bonded the team together, and it was won. And then the New Jersey State Athletic Association put a 70% rule in that if you didn't play 70% of your teams from New Jersey, you wouldn't get in the playoffs.
Wow.
So Sam Tropiano, who was the baseball coach at Bishop Eustis, and Rich Horan and I from Audubon put together the Ralph Shaw tournament. We invited 8 teams, 7 in Audubon. We played at 2 sites. We played at Bishop Eustis. We played at Audubon. You played pools Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was the semifinals. The two top teams from each group played each other. One played two and two played one. And then Friday you did the third, fifth, and seventh game, and Saturday was the championship game. And we got some of the best baseball high schools. We had Cherokee, we had Shawnee, we had Washington Township, we had Kingsway, we had Riverside. Was the only two Group 1 schools were Riverside and Audubon, and it was just a great week of baseball. If you really like baseball, we got Giuseppe's to sponsor the tournament. They had a coach's dinner before the tournament began, and it was just a great experience. We did that for the remaining 2 years that I was here.
Throw down to third, or actually no throw. Runner goes in standing, so 2 stolen bases for Ocean City thanks to Wes Andrews. He steals second and third. But no, listen, I have only been around for the 4-team, 2-day era of the Ralph Shaw, and I've seen also countless other 4-team tournaments. Like later this month, we're going to be covering the Joe Lang, which is 1 day across 2 fields. That's Cinnaminson. This year it's Cinnaminson, Highland, Gateway, and Pittman. But what I can tell you about those 4 teams is that those teams are not interlocked with each other. They are not intertwined for any reason where you call 3 teams and you see who needs a game. Bishop Eustace is intertwined with Audubon. Their history is interlocked with them and 2 legendary head coaches in Sam Tropiano and, Richie Horan. So, and you could say before Kingsway left the tournament this year, is their strike 3 for Pachowski. That's his first varsity strikeout. It's 1 away, and it comes to Josh Lenko, but batter will be Preston Pahang, the left fielder. But what I'll say is, even though I've only been around for this iteration of the tournament, I feel like that 8-team tournament would have been so fun to watch because you have those pools, you've got everybody playing for each other. These teams still care about the tournament, and I think as well the environment that Audubon has, the fact that it's a baseball town, the fact that it's you've got the parents still coming to grill hot dogs and burgers no matter what the weather is. I feel like that's part of the reason why the attendance is so good this year, because we've had years where when they schedule the Ralph Shaw tournament, it's not their fault, but it ends up being like 45 degrees
Right.
and overcast and maybe it's raining. This is just perfect baseball weather, and you're seeing the people, even from Ocean City, driving up to enjoy a good game today and yesterday.
Yeah, that was the best part of that. Was it was for a baseball junkie, it was great because you could go to 2 sites, and we had Gloucester Catholic in the tournament. We had every baseball team asking to get in the tournament. The only rules we ever set was you had to be a competitive team, which you're only going to get that anyway, and you had to behave yourself.
Right.
And if a team was out of control, and we had to do that one year. We had to tell a team they weren't allowed to come back. So
That's a swing and a miss. Drew Pachowski, 2 varsity strikeouts in his first career inning. He comes in for Cade Schofield after Ocean City took the lead, and he didn't look back. The Green Wave trail the Red Raiders 3-2 going to the bottom of the 3rd. Bottom of the third inning for Lenko and the Ocean City Red Raiders. They hold a 3-2 lead over the Audubon Green Wave. If you're just joining us, we're having a bit of a fun time here in Audubon as we get ready for the much more serious, not that this game isn't serious, but the championship game in the Ralph Shaw 29th annual between Bishop Eustace and Paul VI. I believe it's the first time since 2019 that Audubon is not going to be represented in the championship game. But first batter is Schofield, leadoff man for the Green Wave. It'll be 1, 2, and 3 for Audubon in the bottom of the third. So Bishop Eustace and Paul VI. I'll be on the call with Gavin Van Rel, also an Audubon grad, now at Rutgers Camden, on that call later today. On Monday, we travel up to Columbus Township, right near the Farmers Market, for some BCSL baseball, seeing Burlington Township face off against Northern Burlington, the Group 3 state champions, off to a 7-0 start this year, as the 1-2 is low at the knees. And then on Wednesday, I'll be off on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, before I leave for a quick weekend vacation, we will see the Cumberland Colts and the Highland Tartans. Cumberland already at this point in the season has played 8 games. They're 4-4, but they're looking to get back in the win column after being 4-0 to start, and they've dropped their last 4. They'll play a Highland team that has not played a New Jersey team this year. They went down to South Carolina, and they played 5 games there. They have yet to play an NJSIAA opponent this year, so we'll see them for their second game, because Cumberland and Highland will play back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have the latter half of it. That one's up to Schofield. It's 3-2.
And the other big news of the week was the team that had the longest winning streak in high school New Jersey high school baseball active lost on a walk-off walk.
I don't think it was a walk-off walk. It was a walk-off single.
Oh, was it a single?
I saw the highlight on Jersey Sports Zone. It was A.L. Johnson who beat Governor Livingston and Chris Roof. 40 straight wins dating back to May of 2024.
And they were, the two-time defending state champions?
Correct. Right? They won in 2024, and then they went 28-0 in 2025. They became the first team since 2007 Don Bosco to have an undefeated season, and the first public school to have an undefeated season since 1980 Pennsville. So that was a fun story, fun ride for them, but they are now in the loss column for the first time in literally over 600 days, as the batter is Colin Filippi after Schofield was retired.
And good baseball people understand how difficult it is to go undefeated.
Oh, 100%.
There's just so many things that can happen, so many variables that can take place, and sometimes variables that are outside your control.
And again, if you're just joining us, my special guest today is Fred Swartz, the Audubon Athletic Director from 1998 to 2003, also a longtime voice at Gloucester County College, now at Rowan University, and a former professor at Rowan as well, who, of course, from Pittman, but was here for 5 years during the Joe Flacco years. And now, there was somebody as an athletic director after you before Tony Carbone, am I correct?
Correct. Donna, I remember her single name was McCauley, but she was the AD following me. And then I believe then Tony Carbone came after that. And
Carbone was, who still lives in town. I have had the pleasure of working with him for so many years. Ever since I came through for high school. The first ever broadcasting gig that I had for Audubon was in February of 2020. Now, if you hear the year 2020, you obviously know what happened right after. But
COVID.
I was in my 8th grade year, and the person who normally did not play-by-play, but public address for wrestling had been sick. So I had to step in. I said, hey, is anybody doing public address for wrestling? Because Mr. Kramer, who is a track coach and a math teacher at Audubon, was sick. I said, is there anybody that's filling in? I would like to try. I didn't know a lot about wrestling, but I knew enough to read the sportsmanship statement, introduce the teams, and announce the starting lineups. And he said, absolutely. He took a chance on me, and then I started during my sophomore year, because my freshman year, because of COVID, I was all virtual with my mother being high risk. I was all virtual that year, and when we came back, I started my broadcasting. Our first ever broadcast was a boys soccer game between Audubon and Gloucester. Audubon won that game 6-0. So not really a thriller in our first broadcast, but it was still one to be remembered nonetheless. And I did public address for the boys and girls basketball teams, and by the time March of 2022 came around, some of the baseball players had asked if I wanted to do their baseball games, and before you knew it, I asked Coach Horan for his blessing, to kind of allow me to do this, because this was the first time that I had ever done anything of that kind. And I don't want to say the rest is history, because that would make me sound cocky, but the rest is what it is. That ball's going to get away. Filippi, who walked, is going to get down to second, and the count will be 3-1.
And I was fortunate enough for about 5 years, I was able to be the public address announcer for the New Jersey State Individual Wrestling Championships at AC. That was neat to do in front of 11,000 people to get done. And your avenues will open up.
Here's a ground ball to short, picked up by Andrews. Throw is in time. Looked like that Bozar stumbled out of the box a little bit. He kind of maybe hit himself with his bat, but he was able to get down the line and only missed the infield single by 1 or 2 steps. There's 2 away. Filippi held the second because the ground ball was on the left side of the infield, and the batter is Jude Cotter. He had the somewhat controversial infield single in the second where he did not run through the bag. And he'll have the first pitch here. That one's low. Filippi will stutter with his feet, and he will hold, and it's 1-0.
The nice thing about the business that you're in, Dan, now is you're going to get to meet so many people and different personalities and different ideas, and you actually become part of the game, really, I guess is the way I could describe it.
The one thing, somebody asked me this, Mackenzie Cochran asked me when I traveled up to, I made a radio appearance on Montclair State's All Access show on, I forget the call sign, but it was 93.7 FM for Montclair State, and Mackenzie Cochran, when she interviewed me, she asked me, she said, what's something that makes you proud about the work that you do? And I said, well, there are teams now that will actively ask me if we're coming to a game. I used to have to reach out to athletic directors and kind of, get their trust and ask them for their permission for me to come. Now ADs are asking me if I'm covering a game, and teams and players get so excited about it. I get messages on our social media pages from players that, before I even show up, they're thanking me for coming or for coming to the game, as that's going to be a tough hit by pitch. That hit the back of Jude Cotter. He seems to be okay. He grabbed his back immediately right near his left side, but he will get down to first at full speed. Still seems to be in a great deal of pain, though, and we'll see. He just hasn't had the best luck today. That base hit in the second, and now a hit by pitch here in the bottom of the third.
And that is the key, Dan, what you said before. The build-ups you'll have, the relationships you'll have, the camaraderie that you'll have, really, really works. Really works well. And you're good because you're not limited to one place.
Yes.
You're not just like the PA guy at XYZ school. You're willing to do every game.
And I'm willing to travel to go to those different games. The only conference that we don't really cover that much is the Cape Atlantic, just because it's geographically further than me.
Sure.
But I can still do games at Hamilton or Buna or something along those lines. And then sometimes we'll take the trip. We'll go down to like Holy Spirit or Absegami and make those games happen. But it makes me so proud that these people are actually excited that we're coming, because the way that I see it, and I was talking to John Mondelli about this about a year ago when he was still at Rowan College, is that I feel that we are in a similar position to what Gloucester County Channel 5 was back in the day, because we do different games, different sports. We don't favor a team. We don't work for a team. We do what game we think is best, and we do what we think will be best for the viewer. Fake throw to third. Now stuttering between first and second. Cotter gets down there, and we'll have runners on second and third now. So Filippi was already at third, but now Cotter's going to move himself into scoring position. Some really crafty base running for Audubon this afternoon.
Well, that's a great play that's set up. It's tried to do 2 things. Number one is to try to induce a balk that gets the run home, and then also if you make the throw.
Oh, it's booted at second base. Now the runner's coming home. Cotter's coming. Off-kilter throw at second is not in time, and Audubon's got the lead. How about that? Crafty base running. We speak it into existence. An error booted by Brady Williams at second base. And how about Jude Cotter? He was rounding third, got the green light from his third base coach, and he scored. Williams was forced to make an off-kilter throw and 2-run score. And just like in yesterday's game, it's going to be a lead-changing extravaganza. The lead has already changed 3 times.
Yeah, because
or
it's
4
exciting.
times now.
Hold on a minute, it'll change in 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness, what a game this has been so far. 4-3 Audubon.
So what I was telling Dan on that one play where you break the runner at first. In that situation, now you try to throw off the pitcher who's in a stretch move. If he stops and doesn't get off the rubber, you induce a balk and the runner from third scores. Then the second option is he throws the ball to second base and you break the runner from third into score. Now, neither happened in that situation, but it worked out at the end.
It ended up working out no matter what, even though it wasn't what they envisioned, as Matt Pachowski is running at first for the catcher Lougheed. Caladros is the batter. It's no balls, 2 strikes. And Lenko with Ocean City desperate for long-standing pitchers. He's at least able to finish the inning without too much damage, but they do give up the lead. 2-run score on an E4 by Brady Williams off the bat of Ben Lougheed as a daunting play brings home Jude Connor from second base. We go to the top of the 4th. We're having fun here in Audubon as the Green Wave lead the Red Raiders 4-3.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Welcome back to Audubon High School. I'm Dan Wilkins, joined by Fred Swartz on the call, and Vincent Focht of Camden County College is our producer. Well, I should say of Camden County College, but also future, possibly, of 93.7 over at, or 97.3 over in Atlantic City, ESPN Radio. So he's interning right now over there. So we wish him the best of luck. Hopefully you can still not only keep working for us, but can still keep mowing my grandmother's lawn. As here's a fly ball out to left field, hit pretty well. Going back, this ball is deep, and this ball is gone. Game tied. Didn't you say the lead was going to change? How about that? A solo home run by Cullen Whalen out to left field, and Ocean City has tied the game at 4 apiece as the lead changes again. Not many home runs have cleared that left field fence. You'd be surprised because a lot of guys hit it out to right and right center here. But Cullen Whalen, solo homer, and it's 4-4. Second home run hit in this tournament. None were hit in the second game yesterday, but Mason Rosenberg went deep off of Ocean City in that 8-run 4th inning.
It's funny, Dan, you go to some of these tournament games, and when the spectators arrive, they don't ask who won, they ask did anybody hit a home run. So,
well, this ballpark is pretty hitter friendly, unless you go out to that left center field gap where it's 380. But 351 to where we're standing in right center, 320 down each line. But
and that was a power alley home run. So that was a shot.
Yeah, just cleared the left field fence as going the pull side that time for Cullen Whalen as Schweim fouls it back at it's 1-2. For Cullen Whalen, if I'm correct, that's his first career home run, and it is. Not only that, that's only his 4th career varsity hit in his 12th at bat. He was 3 for 11 going into that at bat. So not only is it his first home run, but one of his first few hits is a fly ball. He's going to go fouling on top of the batting cage down the left field line.
And Dan, I can remember when I was AD here too, we used to always have complaints from neighbors that foul balls were entering into their yard all the time. And I can remember my response back to them was,
well, you moved next to a baseball
you
field.
moved next to a baseball field.
I had a feeling that was what you were going to say. Because, I mean, it is what it is, but I got to imagine some of these houses have just been pelted with foul balls over the years. But, I mean, you did move next to a baseball field. There's a swing and a miss. And it's not like the baseball field's being used 12 months out of the year. It's only being used for 2, maybe 3. There's no summer league team that plays here. And really, they keep a good enough job on the field where they're not letting other teams use it. It's only used when Audubon allows them to use it. So,
correct.
Yeah, I've seen other fields, like, for example, Haddon Heights, Joseph Servino Field on 8th and High Street, just down the road from here. It doesn't get in the best shape in the wintertime. We've done fall ball games for one of our sponsors that we'll introduce later, South Jersey NABA, the men's league, and they play their fall division games there, the South Jersey Lightning, and the field just gets overrun with grass in the fall, and you don't really see that at Audubon here. I mean, yes, the outfield is used for JV soccer and it's used for football training, but they still keep a very tight cap on this place, and that's one of the reasons why it's one of the best venues in South Jersey for baseball.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're a community person, this is the best place to go.
There's a line drive into center field, and the 9-hitter gets the job done. That is the leadoff man, Williams. After one first out was recorded for Schweim.
Yeah, we used to have the old timers. They used to sit in the top row of the bleachers, or sometimes they couldn't make it up to the top row. They'd sit in the bottom row, and they would tell stories. And they would come to practice. They would come to watch baseball practices, and I would sit and listen to them tell me stories about Hank Greenberg and all the people that played for Audubon in the past. Diane Guida, who was the first female coach.
That ball's hit out towards left center field. Going back, this one's going to one-hop. It hits off the bottom of the fence. Filippi has this one coming around third. This is going to be an RBI double. Scoring from first base is Brady Williams, now throwing back to second. The back pick is not in time. It's an RBI double for Josh Pashley. And the Red Raiders now have the lead. The lead is now changed for the 5th time in 4 innings. And it's now 5-4 Red Raiders. Nobody's really getting ahead in this one.
That's for sure. And it's definitely entertaining. There's no doubt about it.
To say the least, it absolutely has been. So Williams coming around, RBI double by Josh Pashley. It's his 2nd hit of the game. And now their pitching coach will come out and talk to Pachowski. They'll take him out. Audubon only has 2 games this week. They play on Wednesday versus rival Haddon Township at Haddon Township, and they will also visit Haddon Heights on Friday. So after today, they'll get 2 days of pitching rest. However, Audubon wasting no time in trying to at least salvage a bronze medal here at the Ralph Shaw Championship. On the mound for the Green Wave is a man who got some action yesterday in Joe Waller. I apologize, Brogley was not the one who had that final 3rd inning yesterday. It was Joe Waller, who only threw a handful of pitches, only had to face 1 batter. So he shut down PVI in the top of the 7th inning, and he'll now pitch for the 2nd day in a row for the sophomore right-hander. Ocean City with 2 runs home on a home run by Cullen Whalen and an RBI double by Josh Pashley. We'll take a break right after this. Joe Waller, a pitcher for Audubon here. Third pitcher of the game as Cam Street fouls it back. Comes in for Drew Pachowski in his first varsity appearance. Joe Waller, just yesterday, had 2/3 of an inning. He pitched 13 pitches. So he is allowed to pitch today. 2 hits, 1 earned run. So an ERA of 10.5, but still very early in the season.
And a tough batter to start your mound appearance here with Cam Street.
Street, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, headed to NJIT, which I forgot to look it up. I believe it's in Teaneck or somewhere around there in North Jersey.
That's absolutely correct. Teaneck
All
is
right,
the
there
answer.
you go.
You
I
did
took,
really
I
good.
took a guess and I got it.
You got it.
278 average this season, 5 for 18. He had 1 home run, 10 extra base hits last season with a 262 average.
Yeah,
he is committed as a right-handed pitcher, though. This season, 2.9 ERA, and we didn't see him today because he most recently pitched. Actually, we saw him on this. We didn't see him, but he last pitched on the 7th, which was last Tuesday, so he could have pitched today. However, Ocean City will be saving him for the divisional matchup versus Millville. There's a base hit to center field, stop sign at third, base hit for Street. He's now 2 for 2. Now 3 for 3, actually.
Yes, he's
3 base hits now.
Yes, and it's interesting because for FDU, there's 2 of them. There's FDU Farnham Park, which is Division 3, and then there's FDU Teaneck, which is Division 1 and part of the American East.
Well, I was talking about NJIT, which is where Street is going.
Okay, so that's not Teaneck.
Oh, did you think I said FDU?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
yeah.
you know what? I think that NJCU might be Hackensack.
The NJ Institute of Technology. Yeah, I know NJCU is Jersey City because that's in the name. Well, they're merging with Kane.
Yes, and that's really a point of contention now, and they have completely dropped their schedule from the NJAC. They will not be there. It will be replaced by New Paltz. But it'll be very interesting. There's a rumor they want to join another association to still play basketball.
That one's going to get away. Street's going to get to second. But Lougheed stops behind the plate. Not a very deep backstop here at Audubon. Probably only about 8 to 10 feet between where the catcher crouches and the padded backstop here. But the count's 1-0 to Wes Andrews.
And Audubon's got to stop the bleeding right now. It's a 5-4 game, very doable to come right back. They can't make it worse. And right now, it's very difficult finding the strike zone. That's for sure.
And it's going to continue to be difficult as this day goes on because they've already used Bozarth. He can't pitch today. They already used Schofield today. I think the only guy they'd have left is Broglie, but they'd also have to watch him because even though Haddon Township is not a divisional game on Wednesday, Haddon Heights on Friday is, and you don't want to overuse those guys for a non-conference game. If it means that you have to use some of your lesser used guys just so that you can get by and manage your pitching into Wednesday. Because like we said, they're going to have 2 days off going into the week. That's going to get away again. Andrews telling his guys to hold up as he rushes out of the box for ball 4. The bases are loaded and 4 straight batters have reached now for Kyle Williams.
And this is where we also call, sometimes the pitcher has to become the sacrificial lamb.
Right.
They're gonna pitch. You're finishing the game no matter what happens. So
yeah, even if it means that your individual stats get messed up.
Yeah, you might have a 47 ERA by the end of the day.
Well, now Audubon's pitching coach will come out, but one thing that I'll say is we were talking earlier about the accomplishments that we've made, and I've received a lot of compliments from Audubon parents specifically because I went to Audubon High School, and it looks like Waller's going to come out of the game. So we're going to have 4 pitchers in 4 innings, a bullpen game for the Green Wave, as they are going to make yet another change. Jude Cotter is going to come in for the Green Wave. We'll come back in a second, and we'll talk about what point I was going to exclamate later. But bases loaded for Ocean City. They lead this one 5-4 when we return. New pitcher for Audubon, it's Jude Cotter, the right-hander, 4th pitcher of the game for Audubon. So if you're catching up at home or if you're filling out your bingo card, we started out with Cade Schofield. He ended up only throwing about, I believe it was 2 1/3, and then it was Drew Pachowski who came in. He had 2 strikeouts to finish the inning, and then after him, he was taken out for Joe Waller, and now we've got 2 pitching changes in 2 innings now, as Jude Cotter, who's also a quarterback for Audubon, is in the game. He has not pitched at the varsity level. He's 4 for 10 at the plate, and he's off to a 1-2 count to start with the bases loaded versus Kyle Williams, who already has an RBI single in this game for Ocean City, and he gets a swing and a miss. So there's your first varsity strikeout. We're seeing some accolades today and yesterday. Dan Pasalacqua for Bishop Eustis had his 100th career strikeout versus Ocean City in an 11 strikeout performance. And now 2 varsity pitchers for Audubon have their first strikeout. And even yesterday, Mark DeFeo for Ocean City had his first career varsity strikeout. So we're seeing some pitching accolades coming in today. 2 away. Fly ball in the first pitch popped up. So it's going to go out to Walnut Street. Look out. Hope you didn't park your car there, Fred.
No, I parked over in the
community center?
Community center.
Took a little extra hike. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's a nice place that they've built up over there. The Francis J. Ward Community Center. It's hard to catch on camera, but it's that green building over there, as there's a strike called.
Well, we used to rent that out when we were at Audubon to have pizza parties for the people who made the honor roll.
Well, the community center that used to be there was completely knocked down. There's a swing and a miss. We'll talk about it when we come back, as we've got a couple things to talk about when we come back. But Ocean City strands the bases loaded. Jude Cotter, first varsity pitching appearance. He sets down Kyle Williams and Josh Lenko in order to retire the side. Ocean City, though, takes the lead on a solo homer by Cullen Whalen and an RBI double by Josh Pashley. 5-4, Red Raiders go into the bottom of the 4th. One's outside to open up the bottom of the 4th inning here from Audubon. Lead has changed 5 times in this game in 4 innings. This has been a very interesting game in the 3rd place game, no less. I can't wait to see what the championship game has to offer, as there's a swing and a miss to start off the 4th for Broglie. 7, 8, and 9 for the Green Wave. As we said, next week we'll have Burlington Township and Northern Burlington on Monday, Cumberland and Highland on Friday. And then we'll have Rowan College softball on Sunday, April the 19th versus Northampton. It's a ground ball to third, picked up. Throw across the diamond to Kyle Williams is in time by a step, and Brogley's retired. Sophomore, out number 1. That brings up Evan Paxos.
And Dan, you said before, consolation games are really kind of hard to figure because sometimes there's just not that incentive to play. And sometimes you get blowout games and you get a team that lost a real tough game and it's hard to come back. This one's at least very, very entertaining.
I would say as well, the storyline here is that these two teams, even though they lost in very different ways. Ocean City and Bishop Eustis yesterday, the first round game, took 1 hour and 41 minutes, as that's a line drive into left field. There's a base hit. Sliding is Bahang. He had to avoid that ball from getting away from him, and Paxos is going to get on with a 1-out single.
Yeah, I could see where Ocean City thought they had a lot to prove after you get run ruled in a game like that, and Audubon just had to get over the hangover of losing the game in the last 2 innings.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's going to be hard for them to swallow is how do you mitigate that? How do you find a way to get around that? And how do you find a way to win the next day? So to be able to do that and be able to have the success that they have had so far today has been very admirable as a strike is called.
Well, Coach Rich told me before the game that they're really young, and in these kind of games you learn every day, and you learn the things you need to do to be successful.
I would say since I started doing Audubon baseball in 2022, this is the youngest team that I have seen. And obviously, with Haran being around for 32 years, obviously, he's probably seen younger teams. But in my tenure here, this has been the youngest that I've seen. But also, young doesn't mean bad. It just means projectable. It means that they can either trend upward in the right direction, or they could unfortunately trend downward. You really don't know at this point in the season. We're really not going to know Audubon's true outlook maybe until late April, early May. After today, they won't have a home game until April 21st versus Collingswood. They'll have 2 home games in 2 weeks after 2 away games next week, all versus Colonial opponents. As we said, they will travel the long hike to William G. Rohrer Field at Haddon Township on Wednesday, and then right over the Haddon Heights on Friday. So they'll be staying, even though they'll be away, they'll be very close to home. And then Tuesday the 21st versus Collingswood. Thursday the 23rd will be the next time we see the Green Wave on DWB versus the Sterling Silver Knights. Another broadcaster in that game as well, Tad Kozaneski.
Yeah, I've worked with him too. So he's
excellent guy.
Yes, he is.
He's been a head coach at Sterling for 33 years now, replacing Chris Hoffman back in 2023.
And his dad was at Eastern for quite a few years in the same. But, it's just an interesting situation. I got a good Rich Haran story for you when we get a chance.
Well, fly ball to left field. Pahang is there. I mean, you got 1 out. You got a 2-2 count. Why don't you let it fly?
So I'm in my
I
think it was my first year at Audubon, and Rich's son, when we called him Turbo, was coming up to play, and Rich was really concerned that people would think if his son played, he'd be favoring his son, and he comes up and he says, "I think I'm going to quit."
Fly ball to center field. Street is there. There's 2 away. So people were convinced that Haran was going to quit.
No, Rich came in and told me he was going to quit. And he said, I don't want to lose any friends. And he said, if my son plays, I'm going to hear all this garbage. And I said, well, Rich, here's the only thing I got to tell you. You're one of the best baseball coaches in South Jersey. How would you like to be sitting on the sidelines while somebody else coaches your son? And he said, you're right. So thank God he decided to stay, and he's still here. So,
wonder what Turbo's doing now.
He was good. Boy, we had him. We had Jimmy Cannon. They were just such great 3-sport athletes for us.
So the one thing I was going to say about that story is I have almost never heard a coach be bashful or wary about people's perception of him in terms of his kid. Because honestly, I'm not going to name names, but I've seen dozens of coaches that very shamelessly favor their kids when it comes to high school baseball and in those levels as well. And like I said, I'm not going to name names, but you can put 2 and 2 together when you see a last name that's the same as the head coach on the roster. Not that they're bad players or anything, but I feel like the one time that was I can't remember. There was one time we had a baseball player who was the son of the head coach, but was also a Division I athlete. Like, he was legitimate and deserving of being in his position, but I've never heard the story of a head coach that was actually afraid of people's perception if he had overplayed or potentially favored his kid.
And that was very difficult. And luckily, I was able to twist his arm and to make sure that he had stayed. And then after that, we won the state championship after that. So certainly wasn't bad. But he was, Richie, the thing he does is he's always constantly coaching.
It's a ground ball foul, 3-2.
He players get better. Where I really look at a good coach is if players get better by playing under him. That if anybody can take a player that has tremendous talent and you're going to win. But if you can develop that talent, if I gave you an athlete and you made him a baseball player.
It's in the right center field. It's a base hit. Street cuts. Oh, he tried to barehand it, and he bobbles it. I don't know if he misplayed it or what, but the run's going to score, and we're tied up again. Evan Paxos comes in. It's going to be a single and an error on Cam Street. He overplayed the ball, then tried to correct it by grabbing it with his right hand. He missed it, and down to second base goes the former pitcher, now shortstop, Cade Schofield, and we are knotted up at 5 in the bottom of the 4th inning.
I think this game is definite for a super finish. So
It's going to be back and forth.
Maybe it's good for Audubon. They have the last bat.
I think it's good for me because every time that we've done a game with you on the call, it's been
good.
entertaining.
It's been a great game. Yes.
The first game that we did together, Kingsway Gloucester Catholic, it was 10-6. I mean, GC, they were in control, but Kingsway never was really out of it. Then we had that really entertaining Overbrook-Pennsville game where Pennsville had the 2-out base hit from the 9-hitter Jake Layfield. And now we've got, even in a third-place game, we've got a very entertaining one here between Audubon and Ocean City.
Yeah, and I liked it because the base umpire today told me, he says, you guys did the Pennsville game. I did the game at the plate. He said, I enjoyed that. And I said, well, that's good. You'll enjoy it from the bases today.
Well, what I'll say is we have a very good relationship with John Galante, who is the head of Tri-State Elite umpiring, and he's also got a very good relationship with the United Collegiate umpires who do a lot of South Jersey collegiate baseball, whether that's Rowan College, whether that's Camden County,
And
or
they do
Rowan.
NJAC. Yeah, they do NJAC
So whenever
too.
we've now worked with him to the point where whenever we do a game that TSE or even United is involved in, he will tell us who the umpires are, because I like crediting the umpires on the broadcast just like the majors do. As there's a throw down to first, tough play by Williams. He'll get it down and he'll retire the side. Ocean City, though, a bit of a blunder in center field by the future Highlander in Cameron Street. He commits an error, and coming around to score on the play is Evan Paxos. We go to the top of the 5th, still anyone's game as they strive for a bronze medal. Maybe not a medal, but a bronze trophy. It's 5-5 going to the 5th.
In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
First pitch of the fifth missed upstairs to Ocean City. This broadcast is brought to you by the South Jersey chapter of the National Adult Baseball Association. Registration is open until the end of April for the 2026 spring and summer season. While most rosters are full, it's never too late to get yourself a chance to play in New Jersey's best men's league in South Jersey. With over 20 teams across 4 highly competitive divisions, you can play on any ball club from A level to elite division by registering today at South Jersey NABA. That's NABA.com. 2-1 is the count to Ocean City to start out the fifth with Pahang. 7, 8, and 9 for Ocean City. Pahang was the only man not to grab a bat for the Red Raiders in the fourth as 8 batters came up. Inning was led off in the fourth with a home run from Cullen Whalen, his first career home run. And Pahang laces this one, tried the backhand, but he ended up not getting it. It'll be a base hit. Pilla throws it in. Able to bring that one down as a base hit by Preston Pahang. Ocean City and Audubon with a lot of offense in this game. 10 runs combined after a wild 13-10 game with a lot of crooked innings, a lot of crooked numbers. That fourth inning yesterday, PVI scored 6 runs in the top of the fourth. Audubon scored 7 runs in the bottom of the fourth. It was weird because Audubon had 3 runs before they had their first hit. And then PVI looked like they had taken a commanding 6-3 lead. And then Audubon came back, scored 7, and made it 10-6. And then after that, they had not scored in the 5th, 6th, or 7th. That's a base hit. Dives past Schofield. Holding it second will be Pahang, and now Cullen Whalen having a nice day. Home run and a single in combination with a walk. He's reached base 3 times. And OC has 2 base runners.
Now I'm going to lose this bet, but this is definitely a bunting situation.
With the 9 batter.
Yeah, absolutely. Set yourself, put runners on second and third with the top of the line, turning the lineup over and making the number 1 hitter.
Don't think that's a bad bet at all, but we'll see. 5-5, tie game, top of the 5th. There you go. But he'll throw back. Safe at second base.
And the other thing that gets me now, it's a different way people play, but they don't hold the runner at first on this situation with the first baseman because they said, well, there's a runner ahead, he can only go 1 base at a time. But it's a very unique, it gets a nice jump.
And look at how far Paxos is in. He's halfway down the line. Unable to square up. Now the throw down to third is in time.
Wow, interesting situation there.
They throw out the runner at third on the throw from Lougheed. The runner went. The batter squared up to bunt but did not make contact.
And here's the old Cardinal baseball rule. Don't get thrown out at third for the first out or the third out. So there you go.
So back-to-back singles by Pahang and Whalen. And that runner's going to be awarded second.
Looks like
They
that's
call
going to be a balk, yeah.
Okay.
Balk call.
Not the first time we've seen that with inexperienced pitching. Honestly, I've seen the most balks have been called against inexperienced pitchers. And for Cotter, this is his first varsity appearance. This one's fouled back by Schwein. And with 1 runner on second now and the 1 out recorded, we'll have a count of 1-1.
So it takes the double play out of the playbook right now. So you want to make sure you can try to just eliminate it. A strikeout would be great here.
That one's upstairs to Schwein. He struck out twice in the ball game. After this, we'll turn the lineup over to Brady Williams, the true freshman. I keep saying true freshman like we're in college, but yes, he is a freshman. But to be fair, at the high school world, we have seen players getting reclassed, and an example of that was Will Howell of Paul VI. He was a transfer from Holy Cross, came in relief of Trent Ferrara yesterday. He is a junior, class of 2027, but he's actually 18 years and 5 months old. So that would mean he was born in, I think, 2007. But he's a junior and doesn't graduate until 2027. So he would graduate when he's 19 years old.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because if you turn 19 before a certain time, you can't play your senior year. The biggest thing everybody's looking for in that kind of situation is where they stack up among the sport they're going to be, what position they're going to be, and the school they want to be.
It's a 2-2.
It's crazy right now with kids getting 6th and 7th year eligibilities in college.
Now, what do you think about the proposed NCAA rule that they came out with a few days ago?
I didn't see it, so you're going to have to tell me.
I will tell you. So the NCAA wants a blanket rule that basically nearly eliminates red shirts and waivers.
Okay.
And you would be allowed 5 years from the date of either your 19th birthday or the date of your high school graduation, whichever comes earliest. So that would actually eliminate a lot of possibilities of players reclassing and graduating when they're older, because if your 19th birthday comes before your high school graduation date, your NCAA eligibility clock starts then, even if you're in high school. Now, David and I discussed this on the South Jersey Starting 9 podcast last week. As the runner gets down to third, throw is not in time. Runner gets in there safely, and it'll be runners on the corners. But David and I discussed this on the podcast, and one of the things that he said is that, he probably thinks that even though this rule means well, it's probably going to get in some court challenges and whatnot, and there's a chance that it doesn't stand. But what the NCAA wants is, instead of it, because the main problem that existed in the NCAA was the NIL and the name, image, and likeness, and it ended up turning from what NIL was intended to be, which was alumni programs and brands like, physical brick and mortar stores or maybe
salaries.
Businesses.
It's
now turning into salaries and pay to play.
Right.
So instead of, because the pendulum, I know you can't see me on camera right now, but the viewers can't see me on camera, but the pendulum is all the way in one direction, to where we're pay to play, players are on salaries, and their enrollment in a college is directly based off of whether they're getting paid. However, I don't think that the NCAA and the general public, they don't want the pendulum to go in the other direction for like a Reggie Bush situation.
Correct.
Where somebody gets stripped of a national championship because they're given a free sandwich.
Correct.
I think that what the NCAA wants and the court of public opinion wants is a middle ground. Here comes a bunt. Lougheed bobbles it. Runner is safe at home and at first base. So a bunt single by Schweim brings in, bring in the run. And it's going to make it a 6-5 game.
The biggest thing that's going out of, and there's so many situations in cross country now. There's a situation where the top cross country swings are bringing African runners over, and they're 28 years old, and because they've never been involved in any kind of eligibility situation, and they're able to do it. So that's probably one of the reasons it's being brought up for that. They had a really good situation when you had 5 years to play 4. Then they made it 10 semesters to play 8. But
that's going to be a base hit in the left field. That's going to bring home Schweim from third. Williams goes to second. That's an RBI single for Josh Pashley. 2 runs home for Ocean City. It's been a consistent wave of offense, no pun intended. It's now 7-5 as Ocean City has scored 2 runs apiece in every inning since the third. They scored 1 in the first, and now the third had 2, the fourth had 2, now the fifth has 2, and for the 6th time today, the lead has changed, and it goes back to Ocean City here in the top of the 5th.
It's amazing. It's a back-and-forth game. To your point, though, money is dictating college sports right now.
Right, and that's the problem.
That's the problem. That's what has to be rectified. And it's down now. We were laughing at the March Madness. The fact that money's involved, very few of the Cinderella teams are going to make it anymore because all the good players are getting paid big money.
And they're going somewhere else.
Yeah, it's absolutely correct.
But what I'll say is that the NCAA, I think that they don't want the pendulum to go back the other way.
Agreed to that.
Because the situation where it took until 3 years ago for Reggie Bush to get his
his Heisman,
because it kind of became laughable to where the players were getting paid ridiculous salaries,
right?
And the guy still, for getting like a couple $100, maybe not even that, under the table. There's a base hit to right. Stop sign at third now turns into a green light. Throw from Bozarth. They might regret this green light. He is out at the plate. Chase Bozarth, 1-2 punch. He tags his first baseman, Evan Paxos, and he threw out the runner at the plate. as Ocean City's third base coach. He started with a stop sign, the light turned from red to green, and it's going to turn into a traffic ticket as he ends up throwing him out at home. Bo Zarth with the second out of the inning, as Ocean City has reached all 6 of their base runners, but now 2 outs have been recorded on the bases.
It's interesting what you said, Dan. I got to talk to Joe Crispin, who's just been named the head coach of the Air Force Academy for basketball.
And Rowan's head coach, Eric Brennan,
yeah,
went with him.
And Eric was the big recruiter that went there, and he's gone out there with him. And he said he's in a situation where it's interesting. There is no NIL money. You're getting paid.
Because you're in a service academy.
Yeah, you're a service academy. You get paid to go to school, yes. You draw a salary for that. But he said the hardest thing for him situation is no matter how good they could possibly become, they're not going to win a national championship because they won't be able to compete against the 5-star players that are going to be going to the Power 4 conference. But he wanted to be a head coach at a Division I school. It opened up. The team had lost 29 games in a row, and now he's there. So I'm hoping for the best of him, and hopefully that he plays Navy at Annapolis, and we can go down and see him play. Coach, I should say.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And somebody was talking to me the other day about Army, a running back for them, Kanye Udo.
Yeah, he left and went to Arizona
State. And they said, well, how can you do that? But it's after 2 years, you kind of meet a fork in the road, a crossroads.
That is right.
If you decide to commit to staying to your service academy, whether that's Army, Navy, Air Force, or the Coast Guard, which plays in Division III. I don't think do the Marines field an athletic team?
They do not.
Okay, so it's just the 4.
The closest to that is the Merchant Marine Academy.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit that's different.
Shipping.
Though.
That's shipping.
Okay, so that I had heard of them vaguely, but my point is that if you decide to stay with the service academy as an athlete after 2 years, then you must fulfill your 5-year service requirement.
Yeah, that.
If you decide to leave, then there's no consequence.
Well, here's the situation. That's mostly correct.
Mostly right? What did I get
wrong?
wrong?
Brady Small, who his mom is the softball coach here,
Correct.
also coaches hockey for them. The bottom line is, if you leave before 2 years, at the end of the second year, you cannot go to a class for your 3rd year. You can leave.
Oh, Schofield bobbled it. He's able to save it, and he gets the out, and the inning is over. What a save by Cade Schofield. He literally bobbled that ball in his hand like a clown juggling a hacky sack, and he made that play to save a run. But Ocean City still takes the lead. They get 2 runs home here as 8 batters come up. Kyle Williams grounds out to end the inning. We'll talk about that more when we come back right after this. Pitching change for Ocean City. Sure would be nice to have Josh Lenko have that dirty work that he did. He gave up 5 runs, but he got 4 innings under his belt. And Ocean City now leads 7-5. So first pitch ground ball for the new pitcher Kyle Williams, and it's an infield single. How about Chase Bozarth busting it out of the box, gets that one in, and he gets himself an infield single out to the shortstop. The defensive changes for Ocean City. You've got, Kyle Williams in the game, the senior. For his pitching accolades, he has a 1 inning this season, no ERA, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. That was in an 11-1 win versus Triton back on March the 31st. Corey Clemens, no relation to the former Eagles running back Corey Clement, is in the game at first base. That one's foul. Going back to what we were talking about NIL and the service academies, you explained it to me very well about Kanya Udo.
Yeah, so what the bottom line is, if you stay, you can stay 2 years at the academy. If you go 1 class into your junior year and then decide to leave, you have to pay back your entire salary that you received the first 2 years you were there. So then Kanye leaves. There's no questions asked. He goes to Arizona State, can now get NIL money, whatever is necessary to be in there.
There's a ground ball. That's a nice scoop. It'll be to second, and it goes into right field. Going to third will be Bozarth. Another head-scratching play. As it looked like the shortstop was going to try to cover second base. That would have been a 5-6-3 double play, but instead the second baseman took the initiative. Williams went in, and instead it airmailed Williams at third base. And now we've got runners on the corners, nobody out. Talk about a consolation game. These guys are back and forth, don't really know what's going on, but an error by Josh Pashley gives his companion Kyle Williams a little bit of trouble here in the bottom of the 5th.
And Dan, there were a couple situations that were involved in it. There was the Roger Staubach when he was such a good quarterback for.
Trust me, my parents are Dallas fans. They
so they know that.
Roger Staubach.
And then David Robinson, who was such a good baseball player, so a basketball player, in that kind of situation. So.
What was the David Robinson story?
Well, he wanted to go. He wanted to play professional basketball, and he also has to have the commitment to play for the service academy. Somehow they worked something out. Who knows what it was, so he could play professional basketball.
The story that I heard about David Robinson, about him with the academies, was that he ended up having to fulfill his requirement, but he grew to be so tall. He had a very late growth spurt, so much so that he actually became too large to serve in the academy.
That makes sense.
Because you have to be within a certain height. And it was something like while he was in school, he grew 5 or 6 inches.
And that could be true.
And he became 6'11" to become a center for the San Antonio Spurs.
Right, exactly. That makes good sense.
So I think it was he actually outgrew, because, I mean, you can have growth spurts as late as you're 26.
Sure. So meanwhile here, Audubon's got...
Look out. Oh, wow. That was almost the perfect storm. There was a car heading towards the stop sign down there, and it almost hit it in motion.
So now it's in there. We got runners on second and third that could tie the game.
Little dribbler out to Williams. Runner will score.
Yeah, good. Actually, really good piece of hitting there, in the fact that you're going to score a run and advance the other one to third. So it's now 7-6.
Yeah, Lohi drives in Bozarth, Connor to third. And the high-scoring affair continues, as it will be.
You can blame that on me, Dan.
Blame what on you?
The high-scoring affairs. Nothing I haven't done that hasn't been high-scoring.
Well, no, Pennsville and Overbrook was only 4-2.
Well, that was a good game. That was a very good game.
Baseball is one of those things where whether it's high-scoring, whether it's low-scoring, it can still be a good game. I tell people I think that in football you can still have a good game even if it's a low-scoring game, and people are like, well, what are you talking about? You know, because we've had some games, for example, Paulsboro and Pennsgrove from 2 years ago was 12-7, but it was a really good game that had a lot of flair in it. We had a highlight catch by Jeremiah Carr that ended up getting on ESPN. There were some really great moments in that game, and to go back to what we were talking about a few innings ago with sports media and what's it called with GCEN and Channel 5, I was talking about how I feel like we are kind of the equivalent of what Channel 5 used to be, what Store Communications or Channel 43 used to be, but at the same time, I'm also a lot younger than a lot of the people were when they were working there, because those people also had regular day jobs. They were teachers, they were coaches, whatever may have you. Like Rob Christ would call basketball games and football games as here comes a rocket from left field. It's up the line, but the runner scores standing. It's a sacrifice fly by Theo Caladros, and for the second out of the inning, it is 7-7, all tied up. So Caladros lined it to left. Preston Bahang had a beautiful throw to the plate, but it ended up being up the line. And 2 runs come in for Audubon, and we are back for the 7th time to a tie game. Or not, the lead has changed for a 7th time. It's 7-7.
I think about those days working for Channel 5 and whatever. We had Stan Ritter, we had Fred Buchter, we had John Mondelli all running. Those guys were really, really professional. They were really, really good. And we would work regular jobs, and we'd just show up, and they'd have the truck ready to go. And
yeah,
our job was just to do our homework.
I think as well, it's a lot. I don't want to say it's easier to run a broadcast in today's era, but if you look at the setup we have today, I mean, I have my laptop, I have 1 camera, I have our headsets and a soundboard. You don't need a production truck to run a broadcast. Now, does having a truck like that, like what Tad Kozaneski has with Channel 19 or Doug Stasic with BFA Sports down in Atlantic County, yes, it makes it better, obviously. But you need the personnel for that. You need the manpower. We're able to run a broadcast with 2 or 3 people, and also instead of it being on cable TV, because not a lot of people are on cable anymore, you access it on YouTube. It's super
exactly
easy
right.
for people of all ages.
That's
I think
right.
even people that are of the older generations, they know what YouTube is. They know
Absolutely.
how to navigate it and whatnot. And the best thing for us is that we make our broadcasts easy to find. We put up the links a week in advance, so if you want to share out the link for Wednesday's game at Highland to your brother or your aunt or your mother, whoever wants to watch it, it makes it a lot easier. And if I recall correctly, I don't think that Channel 5 did a lot of live broadcasting. I think there were a lot of tape delays, right?
Everything was tape delay.
Which, no offense to them and no offense to anybody who's worked with them, but I don't think that is as acceptable in today's era of media. Because with how pertinent live sports has become, where everything on your phone, from the news to the weather to the sports scores, is at the tip of your finger and you can access it within seconds, well, the live sports are expected to be of the same. And we have had to do tape delay broadcasts, but only out of an abundance of, whatever something would happen. Like, we sometimes have games where the internet goes out on us, or we don't have a stable connection, or we just had something come up. 99.5% of the time, all of our broadcasts have been live, and I think the people enjoy it that way because in the era that Channel 5 and Store Communications, Channel 43, in the era where it was popular, if you wanted to see the sports scores, if you didn't know a person who was on the team or, was at the game, you got to wait until next day's paper for it to come in.
That's right.
So I think one of the reasons why GCEN doesn't really do any broadcasting outside of GCIT now is because now the capabilities and the requirements, what is not a requirement, but what is asked of the live stream or broadcast provider has been upped, in the sense of it must be live, it must be easy to access.
Right.
But of course now you can paywall your broadcast, which I'm not a fan of that at all for a million different reasons. Ground ball out to short. It's going to be cut off by the third baseman, who bobbles it, and Pashley commits another error. So with 2 outs, after a ground out by Lougheed and a sacrifice fly, the offense continues for Audubon, and they've got runners on the corners. Go ahead, run 90 feet away, as it'll be Evan Paxos getting on, and Aaron Pilla batting here with 2 outs and 2 on.
Well, I talk to Chris Losey every once in a while.
Of course,
Chris,
he's a great
Chris
guy.
does BSA Sports, and he said the thing that's open, what you're talking about has opened up, is they now have coaches shows. They do midweek things that are involved in it because people want to see that thing. That's
Right.
exactly what they want.
It's extra programming, and we do that as well with our podcast, the South Jersey Starting 9. We started that in December, and what David and I do, David is a friend of mine. He's a student at Rowan University, the sports cam program led by Neil Hartman, and we talk basically every week. In the off season we did every 2 weeks, but now we're doing every week, where we talk about the scores, we talk about surprise performances, maybe teams that we didn't expect to be contenders that are now being contenders. And not only do the kids love it, the coaches love it too.
Absolutely.
Because they're giving their programs exposure even if we can't go out to a game. And those are, clips that you can record on your phone, record on your computer, and you can show your guys and say, hey, Dan and David Cohen talked about us and said a lot of good things about our program. It's another thing that makes me feel really proud about Dan Wilkins Broadcasting.
You should, and the answer that comes down to that also is it can be used for two alternative purposes. It could be scouting.
True.
You can work on that, and college coaches could listen to that particular thing to get an idea of who the player is they should be interested in going after.
And not only that as well, what I would say is that it actually does go both ways because, we got
same play.
How about here we go. Here's that play that's going to try to draw a balk, but now the runner's stepped off. Now we've got a game of a pickle here, and he's out of the baseline.
And yes,
Paxos doesn't agree with it, but he was out of the baseline. He took a wide step to the right, and that run will not score. So this game will be tied, and he will be caught in a jar of bread and butter pickles. We'll go to the top of the 6th inning. Ocean City and Audubon tie it back up at 7 apiece. I guess both teams have a touchdown and a PAT. We'll go to the 6th inning. 7-7 tie game. First pitch, it's a ground ball foul. That one went into the Ocean City dugout off the bat of Josh Lenko. And the count is 0-1, although I don't think this is Lenko at bat. We'll take a look here, see if our camera zoom can help us. That ball went into the Ocean City dugout. That is the new first baseman then in Corey Clemens, batting for the pitcher Lenko, which would make sense because they made that swap. Lenko came out of the game. Williams moved from first base to the mound. And they're going to call that a hit by pitch to Clemens. So he will reach here. Audubon will bat 1, 2, and 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning. What a weird game this has been, though. 7-7. Lead has changed 6 times. Ocean City had the lead with 1 run in the top of the 1st. Audubon got it back with, 2 runs in the bottom of the 2nd, rather. And then Ocean City was consistent. The 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, they scored 2 runs apiece. As there's a bunt, it's going to roll along the first base line. Diving for it is Lougheed, and it'll go foul. So Pahang, the 7th batter, will go back to the box with an 0-1 count.
And a great job by the catcher Lougheed on that one is the fact that grab that thing while it's foul, because he wouldn't have had a play at first. The runner was already at second. So very smart play to know exactly the situation you're in and where the ball is.
Exactly. It's great awareness that time as Ocean City trying to take the lead again, and this time trying to hold on to it. Like we said, they're playing 4 games in 4 days. Lost to Bishop Eustace yesterday. Bishop Eustace is here. They got here quite early, although they didn't take a bus, so these players arrived on their own. Pretty common among the parochial schools for players to travel themselves. Maybe if you're a freshman or sophomore, carpool with an older player. Gloucester Catholic does that. I'm pretty sure PVI does that as well. Mostly, which would surprise me because if you pay tuition to go to a Catholic school, sometimes if you're at a game further away, they'll take like a charter bus. But it's a strike called 1 and 2.
Charter buses run $1,000 a visit, so
Yeah.
you better have pretty deep top pockets to do that. We use Academy bus at Rowan, and they have the resources. Although Rowan just got $20 million by the state.
Whew. And they're still trying to build that. They got cut $20 million, but they're trying to build the $650 million West Campus in Mullica Hill right off of 322.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's going to be interesting.
The vet school's there, and nursing school's going to be there. And
that's a swing and a miss. Cotter picks up the strikeout. That is his third in relief. One away now as Pahang strikes out for the third time. He's 1 for 4.
All right, since you're you're an Audubon Green Waiver, and I was here. What you want to do is get out of this inning without giving any runs to Ocean City, score a couple in the bottom of the 6th inning, and then shut them out in the 7th, and the game's over.
Yeah, I think if you're Audubon here, you already, because the standard at Audubon is win or bust. They
Right.
do not settle for less. I know that there were seasons where Audubon lost 11 or 12 games, but they still won almost 20, and they considered that season a disappointment because they didn't make the goal, which was the sectional final, and they still haven't won a sectional final in 9 years now. Their last was 2017 when they lost to Middlesex in the state semifinal, and even in that regard, that was a controversial game because bad defense by Audubon cost them a trip to the state final. And people told me, like Dylan Tassi, who was on that team, and he's one of the assistants for Audubon, he told me, he said they would have won that state championship if not for the defense, and he got them. Audubon's looking pretty good defensively in today's game, though, as he guns down the runner, Clemens at second base. That's out number 2.
I used to tell Rich, I said when he was there, I said, the football coach could win 5 games and they'll name a street after him. I said, you don't make the sectional final, they're going to call you for what's wrong with Richard Anderson, should we be getting fired?
But that is also kind of a compliment because that means that your program is so high-strung and so highly regarded that is considered a disappointment.
Yes, and that's what he used to say. He said kids were growing up, they wanted to play for Audubon baseball.
Exactly.
And he said when they got there, if they couldn't perform, then they thought they had let the town down. So it's great expectations that you want. That's exactly what you want.
3-1 is low, and that'll be a walk to Cullen Whalen. He's reached base all 4 times today. 2 walks, a homer, and a single.
And the thing that could help Audubon, too, with a young team is you don't need a 500 record anymore to get in the state tournament.
Yeah.
They're taking 16 teams. So Audubon's going to be in the state tournament. If they could jive and...
This ball's hit out towards right center field. It's going to be shallow. This could drop. Pilla makes the catch. Aaron Pilla brings it down and keeps this game tied. Wow. A juggernaut in center field. That ball looked like it was going to drop, and he takes away a base hit from the designated hitter, Will Schweim. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, Audubon's got a chance to win this game in their last at bat. We'll go to the bottom half, 7-7 tie game. Get down to the wires. This one's out to right center field. It's deep. Street going over. He can't get it. It one hops off the 351 sign. He'll be cut off in right field. Runner's going to go. Aaron Pilla had a diving catch, and now he's 90 feet away from giving Audubon the lead. Talk about a roller coaster. 5 minutes for the 9-hitter, Aaron Pilla. He made a diving catch to keep the game tied, and on the first pitch of the 6th inning, he rockets a ball to right center field right in front of us, and Audubon's go-ahead run is 90 feet away.
And right off the 351 sign. That'll show you how good a shot that was.
Not a lot of guys have hit it out to that part of the park, and Audubon is in a situation where, I mean, obviously they can't win the game here, but they can very much put themselves in a favorable spot.
And OC with the infield in makes a 200 hitter a 300 hitter.
Strike called to Cade Schofield, the junior transfer from Highland after his freshman year. So Pilla with a triple. How about it? And right now it's 2:16, so it looks like we'll have about 45 minutes between the the end of this game. Actually, less than 45 minutes between the end of this game and the start of the championship game. And the reason why I say that is that, like we said, we've never had a game in the consolation bracket that has actually been really competitive. I think every year it was pretty much uncompetitive. I remember 2022, Bishop Eustace beat Kings Christian 22-0. 2023, they beat Cinnaminson, I think it was 11-1, something like that. They beat Cinnaminson again in 2024, 13-2. And then last year, we were not here for Sunday's game because we had a prior commitment. That was the first time I hadn't covered the full Shaw. We had only covered the first round of games. No swing. Ocean City's dugout rolls their heads in disapproval, and it's 2-2.
And that's tough with a 2-umpire game. It's hard when the umpire's right there behind the mound to see whether it's a full swing or a check swing.
One's inside. I would argue that when you have an umpire that's at second base, he doesn't have a better angle than the home plate umpire. The home plate umpire
I think you're right.
has the better angle. So appealing is kind of a not useless, but you're not getting a better angle by appealing to second base. All you're getting is a second opinion.
That's true. And that's
so
a very
the home
good
plate
point.
umpire has the better angle out of the two in that situation, but you have to appeal because that's what you have to do. So I would say that if the second base umpire makes a different call than the home plate umpire, I would say that's a little bit of a trick in the rules there, but that's how it is. And that is ball 4. Leadoff man Cade Schofield with a walk after Aaron Pilla's triple. And in this game, and look at this, he's running the second base. Ocean City did not have their ducks in a row, and Audubon's got ducks on the pond. Runners on second and third with nobody out. Schofield just never stopped running. He went right to second. And now Colin Filippi fouls this one down the left field line.
That's something you used to see in like Little League games or something like that.
You catch somebody napping.
Yeah, catch them napping.
Kind of rare to see it at this caliber, but I'm surprised. That one's away to Filippi. It's 1-1. Filippi, as we said, has not swung the bat a whole lot, except for in this game, though. We put the ball in play with a ground ball to second. He is 0 for 2, strikeout, ground out, and a walk.
And, a walk here actually isn't a bad thing because yes, you can't walk the next batter, but it does set up a force everywhere.
Right.
And if you play your infield in, which you will, you can come right to the plate and maybe get a 6-2-1 double play, 6-2-3 double play real quickly.
Chase Bozarth is in the on-deck circle. He's 1 for 3. I mean, listen, if you're Audubon, if you're Ocean City, actually, probably the best guy to face here is Filippi because Bozarth, he's a clutch hitter. He's somebody that time and time again has proven as here's a ball to Williams. Ball gets away. Audubon leads.
Wow.
That ball was one-hopped on the short hopper to Williams. He grabbed it right at his chest. He fielded it cleanly, lasered it home, and Audubon has the lead, 8-7. As the run Pilla comes in to score, Schofield gets down the third. I don't know if you want to call that a throwing error on Williams or a fielding error on the catcher, or just a fielder's choice. But
you could go either way.
Go either way, but
Yeah.
but Audubon has the lead. Colin Filippi gets home to go ahead. That would have been an easy out because he was beat.
Yes.
But it one hop to the catcher and he bobbled it. It hit right off of his protective gear.
And cardinal rule baseball with the infield in is you don't go.
Right.
You make the ball go through before you go because there was no outs.
Here's a ground ball by Bozarth. It's in play. Runner stuttered to second. He will get there. Filippi will advance, but Bozarth is retired for out number 1. So Pilla's triple, Schofield's walk, and then I'm scoring it as a throwing error on the second baseman because it was an easy play. He fielded it just fine, but he short hopped a very short throw to the plate, and that will be my scoring on it.
And
I think
I would agree with that.
An error either way.
I would agree with that because it's a routine play.
So 5-3 ground out is the first out of the inning by Bozarth. Batter is Jude Cotter. He's reached all 3 times, a single, a hit by pitch, and an E5.
And you want him to drive the ball here. Sacrifice fly would be the perfect play right now.
Ground ball by Cotter over the shortstop's glove into left center field. Pahang has it. Here comes Filippi around third, and he will score. 2-run single, Jude Cotter. And he's done a little bit of everything today. First varsity appearance on the mound. He's had 4 strikeouts, and he might be in line for the win as well because he finished the 6th inning. So he would be in line for the win with that. Audubon had the lead either way, but it's going to be a 2-run single for Cotter. Could be a player of the game candidate right there with that
I would think so, and I'll tell you what.
He's held the fort down the longest for Audubon.
He sure has. So now it's 10-7, and with the way that Ocean City can hit, especially against Audubon's pitching today, I think you need every run you can get.
This one's popped up. First base side going over and out of play. By the way, we do have another change at first base. Josh Lenko, who was the starting pitcher, he does re-enter the game at first base. So he replaces Corey Clemens. I keep trying to say it like Corey Clement, but it's Corey Clemens. The count's 0-1. But what I'll say is, Audubon this year has played 5 games. This is their 5th game of the year. They're 2-2. They have scored 10 or more runs in 3 of those games. There's a swing and a miss. Throw down to second. He got him. Cotter got a little bit aggressive there. I guess it's worth it with a 3-run lead, but we'll have to see. As there's 2 away. Cotter taken out at second base. Out number 2, and now Lougheed left with the bases empty.
Maybe he got told by the management of the staff we got to get the game started at 3 o'clock to get thrown out at second, and then shut him down in the 7th, and it's over.
Well, we'll see what happens. I can't tell if Audubon's warming up a pitcher. It's hard to tell behind that green picket fence, but we'll have to see, because if Cotter comes in, he would be in line for the win. I mean, he would be in line for the win either way, but whether he finishes the game or if somebody comes on for a save is different. Dribbler off the mound into center field for Lougheed. That's a base hit for Audubon. And not only would this be a good win, but it will be a win against a Group 3 team in Ocean City. You know, they would have gotten some out of the Paul VI win yesterday, but I'd argue that beating Ocean City actually gives you more power points because you're beating a Group 3.
I agree.
And now, to be fair, power points right now are not the main focal point of everybody's season, because looking at what these teams have, South Jersey Group 1, Audubon, as of, I clicked on the wrong thing, as of today, is actually 10th,
Okay.
which sounds crazy. But Haddon Township is number 1, Shalleck is number 2, Wildwood is number 3, but they've played 8 games. And meanwhile, there's teams that are here that have only played 3 or 4 games so far. Everything's kind of out of whack, if you want to ask me. Everything's just kind of all over the place, and I think it'll stabilize, but I don't really pay attention closely to PowerPoint races until like the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, that makes really good sense.
Because it's kind of like looking at Major League Baseball standings. Like right now, the Phillies are under 500, but I don't really care that the Phillies are under 500 because they've got 150 games left to play. So, you know, you still have so many things that can change, and Audubon will have several more PowerPoint tests later on in the season. Like, for example, they'll play Delsey in mid-May. We actually have that game. They'll also play Kingsway. Actually, they're the only other time this season that they'll play a team that's larger than the Group 2 will be back-to-back non-conference games right near the cutoff. May 20th versus Kingsway and May 22nd versus Delsey. So,
and that's interesting scheduling.
It's really backloaded. Yeah. But they do play some Group 1s. They play Haddon Heights. Woodstown.
Which is great. Was always a good team to play.
They'll play Overbrook, obviously the recently removed member of the Colonial Conference, and they don't have that many non-conference games, though. I remember they used to schedule a lot more non-conference games outside of the Shaw. But a little bit of a different scheduling motif by Coach Horan, as that one's foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And the 7th batter of the inning in Theo Caladros. Running at first is Matt Pachowski, excuse me.
And Rich could have done that a lot based on the fact that he knew he was going to have a young team.
Very much so. Yeah, he might have wanted to ease them into it.
Creative scheduling, yes.
Because by the time you face Kingsway on May the 20th, we'll be a month and 10 days removed from this tournament. They very well could have had a different trajectory, and we'll only know once that time passes.
That's true, and that's what you really look at. When you get to May 12th, your first-year players aren't first-year players anymore. So
10 hits for Audubon on 10 runs, a ground ball. It's got to get past Pashley. He went to cover the bag. Pachowski's going to third. He'll stop there. Caladros with a base hit. Just like yesterday, Audubon caught Ocean City's infield at a bad time. The runner was going to second. Pashley went to cover the bag and then had to swerve and recorrect as the ball went past him in the infield into left field. As that's hit number 11 for Audubon, 2 away. Runners on the corners with Pachowski on third, Caladros on first, and the batter is Matt Brogley, the shortstop.
Let's see if Audubon tries that play.
They've done it twice. Is it going to be possible to get them a third time? I don't know. If you ask me, I have no idea. Only 2 pitchers here for Ocean City today, which win or lose is going to help them. Although Millville is 1-6.
That's interesting too.
I don't think that they are deserving of 1-6 because we saw them on Wednesday versus Vineland. But they're a tough team, but their biggest flaw is their defense. They are on pace for like 4 or 5 errors a game. I mean, they've got a second-year head coach in Valdra Forbes who definitely turned the program around a little bit last year, but they are most certainly a work in progress still. It counts 1-1. 2 away. This is the 8th batter of the inning. Paxos would be the 9th. Another pickoff, not in time. Again, the championship game happening later today. We say later, it's 2:28, so could be a couple minutes past 3 if you ask me, because these players got to get loose. They got to get warmed up. It's a swing and a miss. And it's 1-2. If there's any silver lining for the Red Raiders, they bat 1, 2, and 3 in the top of the 7th, starting with Brady Williams, the freshman, followed by Josh Pashley and Cameron Street, the Division I commit to New Jersey Institute of Technology. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and inside to Brogley. So Audubon's game versus PVI yesterday took 3 hours and 5 minutes. And the consolation game today looking like it's going to be over 2 hours and 30 minutes. And we've got another game to play. It's a 2-2.
And no lights.
Yeah, got to play through the day. As here's a pop-up. Lenko gets called off, and it's dropped at second base by Williams. It didn't touch his glove, so it won't be an error. It'll just be a standard foul ball. But that could have been out number 3, and that opens up the door to maybe Audubon getting another hit if they are able.
Yeah, that's always an interesting thing with the scoring on that. If he drops it, do you give him an error?
I only give him an error if it touches his glove.
Gotcha.
As it would for any normal fly ball. And maybe there's different philosophies to that, and maybe I'm not going by the official rules, but that's what I was told. And Brogley with a half swing, a hesitant swing at that, and he goes around to end the inning. Audubon takes the lead with 3 runs, started by Aaron Pilla's electric triple to the right center field gap. Colin Filippi drove in the go-ahead run on an E4. Audubon looks to shut it down. Let's take a look at who's coming in to throw for the Green Wave. If it's number 12, it's Jude Cotter. and he's going to go for not only a win, well, he'll go for the win no matter what, but a long relief appearance for the right-hander. We'll be back in just a moment. It is Jude Cotter, the sophomore. We'll be back in just a moment. What a day for Jude Cotter. He had 2 runs on a base hit in the bottom of the 6th inning, and now he's going to look for a 4-inning relief outing to take care of this ball game. He's the 4th pitcher that Audubon has had. In the start was Cade Schofield. Out of the bullpen, that first pitch hit him, though, in the back for Brady Williams. So Pashley will bat now with a runner on, but a double play could still make it a lot easier of a road for Audubon. But Schofield started. Coming out of the pen first was Drew Pachowski, the left-hander, struck out 2. And then coming out of the bullpen again was Joe Waller, who only threw 2/3 of an inning yesterday, had enough, or had lack thereof, pitches to get in the game today. Williams is going to run it out down the first base line, and umpires will give him a little bit of time.
Absolutely, and the one thing you don't want to do when you're in a closeout situation here, you want to get the first batter out because it makes things so much easier.
So Williams reaches on first. He's reached base in his last 3 at-bats. He was 0 for 2, a fly out and a ground out.
And here's another interesting situation for baseball now. You're down by 3, so you can't sacrifice.
Right.
You got to play for a big inning. You can't afford to give up an out. So you'll be seeing him swing away, that's for sure.
Liam Curley, the athletic trainer, is going over. He walked over from his cart to make sure that Williams was okay, but he's going to stay in the game. I think they're going to keep an eye on him just in case, as Josh Pashley will be the batter, third baseman in today's contest. So runner on first, nobody out. This is going to be pitch number 60 for Cotter, so really no chance that he pitches on Wednesday versus Haddon Township, but Schofield didn't throw that much. He could pitch on Wednesday. Matt Brogley hasn't thrown at all in today's weekend tournament. He had the start when we saw Audubon on March the 31st versus Clearview, a game that Clearview won 11-1. That one is low, but Audubon only has 2 games this week. Wednesday at Haddon Township, Friday at Haddon Heights. They'll be back home next Tuesday versus Collingswood, a new-look Collingswood team. New head coach, and their 2 best players are gone, so we'll see how they fare. There's a strike called. For Ocean City, a loss would bring them to 2-5 on the season. They started out with a sweep. They got swept by Vineland. Very strong team this year as that one's up. They beat Triton, and they split their second Cal American Series versus Mainland and lost 11-1 to Bishop Eustace yesterday. So they're going to have not only 4 games in 4 days, but they'll be back at it with a non-division game versus EHT on Thursday.
Well, full count now. Very interesting possibilities. Do you break the runner at first to try to put him in scoring position?
Try to risk a hit and run.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's a 3-2 count. They're going to
Yeah,
walk him, though.
yeah,
So they got a blessing in disguise right there. Hit by a pitch and a walk. Tying runs at the plate. And it's the one guy that you'd rather not see with nobody out and 2 on. It's Cameron Street, the Division I commit.
And we're going to have a pitching change.
So Cotter, after 64 pitches, he is out of the game. And Audubon is now going to stress their 5th pitcher. Now, PVI threw 5 pitchers yesterday, so we'll have to see how they fare in the championship game. But one of the things that my color commentator Gavin and I discussed yesterday was that PVI might have so much momentum from the thrills of yesterday's win that they could see a bit of a different shift. The pitcher for Audubon is going to be number 16, Matt Pachowski. So his brother Drew came out of the bullpen and struck out 2. But Matt Pachowski, the sophomore, has, well, an infinite ERA. He has 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks. He has yet to record an out this season. He will need 3 to get the save versus Ocean City. And the Jude Cotter relief pitcher, he is responsible for both base runners. We return 10-7, Audubon leads. Save situation for Drew Pachowski. Not only would it be his first save, it would also be his first outs at the varsity level. Street on the ground, into left field, a base hit. Filippi was playing super deep in left field, and the run's going to score. Street's going to go to second, Pashley's going to go to third. I don't know where Colin Filippi was, but he was super deep in left field. The ball just kept rolling. I don't know if he was backpedaling to it or if he was trying to get an advancement on it, but that's going to be an RBI. I don't know. Do we call that a single or a double? Because did he advance on the throw?
I think he advanced on the throw.
Okay, so we'll call it an RBI single then. Street now 5 for 5 with 5 singles.
Wow.
And that's his first RBI of the game. So when he had a single in the first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and now the 7th, it's the first player to have a 5-hit game on DWB since Cole McKenna did it last year for West Deptford. He had 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in a 13-6 win for West Deptford. He's now at Seton Hall.
Was that at Union Field?
That was actually at Collingswood Field, Knight Park, which is also hitter-friendly. I mean, Union Field is probably the king of all hitter-friendly fields.
In one year when I was at Gloucester County, we played a semifinal game for Brookdale, and I forget who was the other one they played, and there were 7 home runs hit.
At Union Field?
At Union Field.
Why would they play at a high school stadium? Just
because Camden County's field was unplayable. So they played 2 games at the same time. One was at Gloucester, and they played at Union. And Brookdale coach thanked us very much because they hit 7 home runs. So
that does sound like something that Coach Coach Johnson would say.
He's a good guy, though.
Oh, excellent. He is
best.
Great to work with. The 2-1. Base hit could tie this game up. And then what do you do? If you're Bishop Eustace and the poll's a 6, do you book the local Days Inn down the road? I mean, this game could go on forever.
You might have to call Citizens Bank Park.
Well, they're home today, so that wouldn't work. Phillies playing Arizona as that one's low. There'll be a walk. 4 straight batters have reached. Hit by pitch, walk, RBI single, and a walk to Wes Andrews. This is going to be Kyle Williams. The base is loaded, and this game is looking awfully similar to yesterday.
Yeah,
High-scoring game. We could see both teams scoring 10+. I mean, this literally feels like yesterday all over again. Audubon's got a safe situation. They have a chance to win it, and then they blow the lead.
Best thing that can happen to Audubon now is a ground ball to short double play. Don't matter. The run doesn't matter. Yeah, that'll just make it 10-9, and you'll have 2 outs.
And it doesn't matter if you win 10-8, if it's 10-9, as long as you win.
That's right.
Fly ball, right center field. This is gonna be shallow in the outfield. Pilla missed it. He missed it. 1 run is in, station to station, and now it's 10-9. And the heroics of Aaron Pilla, the diving catch he made in the 6th inning, and the triple he had in the 6th. The 6th inning he had to remember now turns into a 7th inning to forget, and it didn't hit his glove. He just lost it in the sun. A very unfortunate play. We're going to have a pinch hitter here for Ocean City, but my word, it's now 10-9. And dare I say that ball being muffed in the outfield kind of helped Audubon, because if that ball was deeper and if it got over his head, that would have made it a tie game.
Yeah,
the fact that he lost it so late, he had a beat on it until he didn't, and now it's 10-9 because everybody got a delayed start at station to station. This has been one of the wildest Ralph Shaw tournaments that I've ever covered, because usually the consolation game is something everybody looked over because it was for 3rd place.
Sure. And now it's interesting because Audubon has to bring the infield in. They have to make the play at the plate because that would tie the game. So once again, that opens up a lot of avenues for a base hit. The base hit now will probably score 2.
The batter is not Kyle Williams, but it's a line drive. Caught by Schofield. Oh my goodness, Cade Schofield. Horizontal diving catch. And there's 1 down.
So now it's very interesting. And high school was so much different than the next levels or whatever. Normally now you put the infield back and play for the double play and then the game. And that's what it looks like Audubon's going to do.
We do have a pinch hitter again for Ocean City. I didn't catch who Williams was hit for, but for this, it's number 27, Andrew DeFeo, who pitched in yesterday's game, his first varsity appearance, and that was foul. He held down the fort for as long as he could, just gave up a couple runs, and then Bishop Eustace ran away with it from there. What a catch by Cade Schofield.
Yeah, that was nice.
That's the thing about this game, though, is that Audubon's defense has been like a light switch. It's been good on one play, and then it's just been, not great on the other play. Here's DeFeo into left field. A base hit. The game is tied. Here comes Andrews around 3rd. Raiders lead. Tag at 30. Got him.
So we'll give him a single.
That's going to give Ocean City an 11-10 lead. Wes Andrews was out. Pardon, not Wes Andrews. The batter for Williams was out. No, I'm sorry. Yes, it was Wes Andrews who scored. So, yeah, I got to catch up a little bit. That's a 2-run single. Runner was out at 3rd. I couldn't tell if that hit the bag or if it hit off of the 3rd baseman. But Ocean City leads 11-10. Now a fly ball with 2 outs. Popped up. You got to make this play. The wind, the sun, and the catch falling away. Cade Schofield. Audubon can catch their breath, but they're still not in a good spot. Going to the bottom of the 7th. Ocean City make that 8 lead changes. This is an unbelievable game. It's 11-10. Ocean City right after the break. Ocean City. Remember how we were talking about Audubon looking for a save? That's no more. 4 runs in the top of the 7th, and a strike is called as Audubon bats their bottom of the order. Again, it's the right-hander, Kyle Williams, only the second pitcher that Ocean City has employed in this game. They had the start by Josh Lenko. He went 4. And even though he gave up 5 runs, it was a serviceable 4 innings. And with Ocean City, right now, they're worried about pitch management because they have to play Millville tomorrow and Tuesday. That one missed. Ocean City not happy about that call in the outfield. It'll be 1-2. 8-9-1. Audubon batted 8 in the bottom of the 6th and scored 3. Ocean City batted 8 in the 7th and scored 4. Here's a ground ball stopped by Williams. On the run, the throw, gets away. Paxos turns, he's got to get back to the bag. He's going to now go to second base as the ball goes through the legs of the truck, the cooking truck down the right field line. I don't know how else you want to describe it. Went under the cooking truck, and Paxos will go to second. He's now the tying run.
And now you really look at interesting situations. Do you give up an out and with your 9 batter, though he had that triple the last time, and advance the runner to third to tie the score, or do you say swing away and let's win the game?
Batter is Pilla.
And knowing Richie like I do, it's advance the runner.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had so many barn burners in this Ralph Shaw tournament. It's not even a barn burner; it's a wildfire. I mean, it's a 13-10 yesterday with PVI and Audubon. Now 11-10 Ocean City. I mean, this game's just been so consistently high scoring as that ball knocks down the batter. And Haran wasn't happy about something in the dugout as Pilla, who had the triple in the bottom of the 6th inning, set up the go-ahead run. That feels like eons ago. And right now it's 2:47. They scheduled the championship game and the consolation 3 hours apart, maybe hoping that would be enough time. No, it is not. These guys are going to have to shut down. They're going to have to get out of here. We might not start until 4 o'clock maybe.
I'd say that's legit.
Yeah, probably 3:30 at the earliest. What if this game goes to extra innings? Do you end it in a tie? Because you got to get this game, you got to get the championship game on at some point.
Correct.
And you know who I feel bad for right now? The athletic director, Christopher Baker, the new AD here, replacing Tony Carbone, because he's got to juggle a lot of responsibilities in how wild this game has been with the timing and the preparation, because they have to reset the field. They've got to scrape everything up in the dirt. And Pilla fouls it back.
Well, your only control is what do you allow the teams to do, which you should. Do IO.
Right.
That's
I'd agree. Listen, knowing Sam Tropiano, I don't think he'd play the game without allowing his team to do IO.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah, because that's something you got to do. It's a part of the preparation. And this is inside to Pilla, 2-2. I've only seen a handful of games in any year where they haven't, because of time constraints, they haven't allowed infield-outfield workouts. But who knows? We've got about until 7:30 tonight to get this game in. Maybe a couple minutes, give or take. Because there's no lights here. With all the houses nearby, there really never will be lights here.
That's for sure.
But that's kind of the old school way. We had breakfast in baseball yesterday. Today we've got lunch in baseball. And it might turn into dinner in baseball with tonight's festivities.
Walked them.
Ball 4 to Aaron Pilla. And now you've got runners on first and second for the leadoff man, Cade Schofield. Now, he's only got 1 hit, but now the infield is going to come in, and they're going to talk things over with Kyle Williams.
Well, I think now, knowing the way the game's played, you got to bunt here. You got to put the runners on second and third. Even though you're giving up an out, you got 2 in scoring position. You play for a base hit by your number 2 batter or number 3 batter, you win the game.
So, by the way, in last year's ball games on DWB, the baseball games that we had, the amount of games where a team scored 10 or more runs, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6 games across. We did 40 baseball games last year from March to June at the high school level. There were 6 games where a team scored 10 or more runs.
Wow.
This season, in our first 12 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of our first 12 games at the high school level have had one or more teams score 10 runs or more. And that includes the first 6 games of the season in a row. So we've had, I don't know if baseball as a whole hasn't changed. It doesn't change overnight from year to year, but we've just gotten some really interesting luck in how the games have been. Like last year, we had a lot of great luck. We had a lot of really close scoring and low scoring games. This year, we had some mercy rules as a bunt. Oh, bobbled it. He bobbles it. Bases loaded. Cade Schofield with a bunt, and he juggled the ball at first base. And the tying run is 90 feet away, 2 bases away. It's the winner.
Now, here's the interesting one. What do you score that? Because you got to go on E3 because he bobbled the ball.
Right.
Do you give the batter a sacrifice because he was giving himself up?
I only give the batter a sacrifice if an out was recorded.
And there was no out recorded, so that's 100%
Are you
right.
quizzing me, or were you genuinely
No,
asking me?
I was wondering because we've had a couple of those situations before. So I would say it's definitely an E3 because he bobbled the ball, but I think he had a play.
I think he absolutely did.
So
he was close enough down the line where he either could have found the pitcher or he could have found, or he could have tagged Schofield out himself if he fielded it cleanly. But all right, let's set the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Now that Ocean City's on the mound and they're taking their time, let's run through this game because we are nearly at the 3-hour mark again. Again. This game started with Ocean City having an RBI single in the top of the first inning. Audubon responded with 2 runs on a single by Matt Brogley in the bottom of the second. From the 3rd to the 5th, Ocean City scored 2 runs in every inning, 6 total. Audubon responded with 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd, 1 run in the 4th, and 2 more in the 5th. So the game was tied at 7-7 going into the 6th. Ocean City was scoreless in the top of the 6th, and Audubon scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to take a 10-7 lead. Audubon's Matt Pachowski comes on for the save, and Ocean City scored 4 runs on 8 batters. And now for Audubon, we have the bases loaded, nobody out, in a game where the lead has changed 8 times. That's a line drive to left field. It's caught. Runner tags. Here comes the throw. No play at the plate, and the game is tied. Evan Paxos scores from 3rd, and the game is tied 11-11. Go ahead and make a wish. We're going to bring up Chase Bozarth now, who can win the game 1 out after that line out to the left fielder, Pahang.
And probably a good move. A lot of times, well, in that situation, you'd want the runner on second base to tag and also get to 3rd. But I think that ball would have been cut off by the infielder, and they would have made a play at second. So let's see what happens. Wild.
A single bloop can win it, but also a fly ball deep enough can win it after the sac fly. Chase Bozarth, a commit to Eastern University in Pennsylvania as a pitcher. 1 for 4 today, single in the 5th inning. Strike called. Did you see his knee twitch a little bit? He wanted to lean into that a little bit.
Yeah,
I think he thought that curveball was going to break inside, and I think he thought that he might be able to get away with a game-winning, not a game-winning hit by pitch, but one to load the bases, because that runner came in from 3rd. That's the good thing here is that, I correct myself, there is no runner on 3rd, so there's no fly ball deep enough. It would just have to be a base hit, unless those runners move over on a wild pitch or a double steal, whatever it could be.
And the big thing, there's 1 out, a strikeout right here. Really changes the scenario.
My phone is blowing up with texts from people saying how wild this game is.
I can believe it.
Here's the 0-2. Fly ball, right field, down the line, over towards the horde of Bishop Eustace players, and it's going to land in front of them.
Yeah, they're probably saying, are we ever going to get to play today?
We're going to have to play on Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
But no balls, 2 strikes. The crowd filing in for the championship game to be played later today between Bishop Eustace and Paul VI. Right now it's 2:54. You got to imagine the umpires for the championship game are probably here right now. They're probably waiting in the wings. 2 strikes on Bozarth. 2 runners on. Another fly ball. He was late on it. All right, so we ran into this situation yesterday with Matt Brogley. We said he fouled off 2 of the same pitch, and he was late. So if he adjusts his swing and he gets the same pitch a 3rd time, if he can adjust it, he's going to get a base hit into the outfield.
And that would be ball game.
There's the 0-2. He got a different pitch, and he wavers at it. 2 down. I am curious, though, because it is a third-place game, how far they would take it before they call it a tie. I'm genuinely curious how they would do that.
Because this game could go for a while.
It really could. With how often the lead has changed, you really don't know. But Jude Cotter, the cleanup man, floats this one deep to left field, going back. It's over his head, scoring from third. It's bronze for the Green Wave in green and gold. Walk-off single, Jude Cotter. The game did go on for a while, but only to 7 innings as Audubon takes third place in maybe the wildest consolation game we've ever seen, in a game that went 2 hours and 56 minutes in a final score of 12-11. Audubon gets their win. They get the power points over Ocean City in a game that is the 9th lead change of the night. You couldn't have predicted that if you tried 1,000 times.
Dan, I got to thank you. What a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon. I'm telling you, had everything that you want to see in a game. It was exciting. It was nerve-wracking. And at the end, it's good for the Green Wave.
Audubon will take third place. As we said, they won't compete for a championship, even though it's not gold or silver. They'll at least take home third. In Ocean City, I feel bad for them as well, traveling over an hour to get here both days, and they fail to pick up a single win as they fall to Bishop Eustace 11-1, and they fall to Audubon 12-11, and they also have to play Millville. So hopefully, if they get those 2 wins back on Monday and Tuesday, it'll be interesting. My player of the game is Jude Cotter, and I say that in the sense that the hit that he gave up was he won't get the win tonight, but the hits that he gave up in that 7th inning weren't really his fault. They took him out when they saw trouble, and then it was their other relief pitcher, Matt Pachowski, who gave up those runs to Ocean City. So even though he was responsible for 2 of the runs, that's all he got. So at least out of that 7th inning.
And I think that's a really good choice. And
if he had given up those runs himself, I don't think I would have given him the player of the game.
I think the other thing that you look at, if you're the coach of both teams battled. They battled today. They played hard. They never gave up, and it ended up to be a pretty darn good baseball game.
It was an excellent baseball game. We'll talk to Jude Cotter, and we won't have him on the broadcast, but we will post it on our social media at DW Broadcasting. Would like to thank Fred Swartz for having us out again. Former athletic director at Audubon from 1998 to 2003. Even though this game was electric, we had a little bit of both. We had fun stories, and we had some serious baseball to watch as well. But in the championship game, we'll have Bishop Eustace and Paul VI, as both of these teams got to clear out of their dugouts to get the Crusaders and the Eagles acclimated to this field for Game 2 of 2 today. Final score tonight from Audubon in a nearly 3-hour contest. Audubon 12, Ocean City 11 in a walk-off single by Jude Cotter. From our entire crew, our social media coordinator, Haley Mejia, our graphics crew, Caleb Lane, Carson Rosso, and Fisher Giannotti. My producer from Camden County College, Vincent Focht. My color commentator, the former AD, Fred Swartz. I'm Dan Wilkins. I'll be on the call with Gavin Van Rel for Game 2 of 2 today as the Eagles of Paul VI face off against the Bishop Eustace Crusaders. Have a good one, folks.